It is the ultimate weekend in high school robotics here in Michigan. All hands on deck. Everybody working on their machines. Parents are here cheering their sons and daughters. A state championship is on the line for 160 schools here at Saginaw Valley State University. It is a beautiful, picturesque day outside here on the campus of SVSU, but all the action is happening inside with the robotics competition that will play out in front of us, the state championship here at the Riders Center. We welcome you inside. Dan Gutowski along with Dan Kimura. We'll talk with Kaylee Marentet in just a moment. Dan, we've whittled the field down. 160 schools are competing here this weekend, the best of the best.
Yep, we started with 516 schools or teams this year. We had 26 district events. The highest performers at those 26 district events are now here.
Kaylee Marentet has a front row seat to all the action in the pits, talking to kids and all kinds of action. Kaylee, what have you got for us today?
Hey guys, I'm excited to be back here in Saginaw for another year. This weekend truly never disappoints, and you can tell these teams are ready to bring it again this year. Per usual, we'll be down here on the floor talking to representatives from both the Red and Blue Alliance, talking about what went right, what went wrong, and what they want to improve on for the next match. We'll also have some one-on-one sit-down interviews, including the Chief Operations Officer of FIRST and the Provost of Saginaw Valley State University. We'll have that and more, but I'm going to send it back up to you guys.
All right, Kaylee, thank you. And of course, the game changes every year. Let's bring everyone up to speed with how this year's game will play out.
The 2024 FIRST Robotics Competition game is called Crescendo, and the basic idea is to take these notes, or these orange rings, and score them in various places on the field. Now, a match is 2.5 minutes long, the first 15 seconds of which are autonomous, which means everything is pre-programmed and there are no drivers. After that finishes, the rest of the match will be teleoperated, or the drivers take control. Now, in autonomous mode, you can still score points in a number of ways. If you can get across that black line on the field, you get 2 points for leaving the starting zone. If you score in that high goal, we call it the speaker, that's worth 5 points. And if you score on the side goal, it's a little bit lower, that's going to be worth 2 points. Then after autonomous, drivers are going to step forward, they're going to take control of the robots. You can still score in that high goal, but now it's only worth 2 points instead of 5, and you can still score in the amp on the side here, it's worth 1 point instead of 2. But if you score 2 notes in that amp, you can hit a button to amplify your shots. So now speaker shots are worth 5 points again for the next 10 seconds. Then, moving on towards the end of the match, about the last 20 seconds, we usually call that end game. Robots are going to come towards the stage in the middle. Now, if you can get on a chain and be hanging, that's worth 3 points. If you're just parked in the area underneath the stage, you're going to get 1 point. If your human player can hit this ring toss throw here on the peg, robots below that will get 1 bonus point. And if you're hanging next to a partner robot, that's 2 bonus points as well.
So that's how things will play out today. We've been finishing up the preliminary matches, so we're going to be all in on game action when we come back. We are at Saginaw Valley State at the Riders Center with Michigan FIRST Robotics coming up.
We've got 70,000 miles of distribution lines, and a lot of those are in hard-to-reach places. And so drones are just one more way that we can use a new technology to get to places that we can't reach.
From inspecting equipment to investigating and restoring power outages, drones are helping Consumers Energy deliver on its reliability roadmap.
We're helping our customers get their lights on faster. We're saving our customers money by being more efficient and operating in a safer and faster manner.
Consumers Energy, a force of change, a force for you.
How do you change the way the world moves? Change course. Aptiv is engineering the brain and the nervous system to bring the future of mobility to life with advanced computing platforms and smart vehicle architecture, taking you from point A to point B and every point in between. We are Aptiv, and we're moving mobility forward.
FIRST Robotics is brought to you by Aptiv, Magna, Hemlock Semiconductor, Consumers Energy Foundation, and DTE Foundation. Dan, let's pick things up here as we roll into the Division Final 2. What do we know and expect from these two teams?
I mean, number 1 alliance versus number 2 alliance, so we definitely have 2 very strong alliances here. Match 1 of the finals that they just finished playing, our number 2 seed in red won that one 131 to 109. And also, just to bring you kind of up to date on the entire playoff run for each of these alliances, Alliance 2 has been averaging 128 points per match. Alliance 1 only 118. In fact, Alliance 1's highest score so far in the playoffs is below Alliance 2's average. So we're going to have to see something big, something special out of our Alliance number 1 here to come back in this second finals match.
Schematically or philosophically, are these teams more offense-oriented, defense-oriented, or a mixture?
Yeah, we saw a lot of defense earlier in the season. One of the interesting things about the state championship is because we're down to just the 160 best teams in the state, or teams that qualified, almost everybody here can play pretty strong offense. So you will be actively choosing to put somebody on defense if you do that here. Whereas in an earlier district event, sometimes your third robot, not the best at scoring, so it's easier to put them in that defensive role. These two alliances have been playing all-out offense throughout the entire playoffs here.
So we're ready to clear the field, seeing some last-minute work done on the, looks like the Steel Armadillos robot for the Blue Alliance, but they're getting the field prepped, ready to go. Those notes will be moving along fairly soon here.
Yep, they got to put those rings in exactly the right spot on the field. I think that last person walking off was our field supervisor. So it is their job to make sure that the field is all in good standing, that the game pieces start in the right spot. If there's carpet damage or any other damage to the field elements, they're kind of the first line that's going to run out there and try to get that fixed.
So we get our final thumbs up, and away we go here at DTE Foundation Field.
Yep, we want to keep an eye on Blue. In finals match 1, Blue had a lot of rings missed and on the ground, and that's 2 early misses. One from 33, one from 857.
The Killer Bees machine from the Blue Alliance going to work here in the autonomous period with a couple of note scores there.
Yeah, much better by 33, but still a lot of notes on the ground on the Blue side, and they're behind 38 to 26 coming out of auto mode.
So again, points at a premium in autonomous, a 38-point showing, pretty solid early on for the Red Alliance.
Yep, quick penalty on Blue, 33, I think accidentally picked up 2 rings. They scored both of them, so that'll mitigate the penalty somewhat. 818 not moving, has not moved since the end of autonomous mode.
Yeah, that's that Steel Armadillos robot from Warren.
And that's weird too, because I don't think they collided with anybody in autonomous mode there. They just sort of stopped moving.
And again, as we've seen in the past, losing a robot is not necessarily ending that match for you, but it is a hindrance.
Yeah, it's very tough when you lose a robot that early though, right? I mean, they were out before the drivers even picked up the controls, so 15 seconds into the match. We do see a lot of people running around trying to check out what's going on with the robot. It does not look like it's going to come back, though, based on the fact that some of the drivers for that team have walked away from their controls.
Now the 6081 digital dislocated robot moving back and forth very quickly.
Yep, 6081, this is their first time in a division final here at State. In fact, I think last year was the first year they were playing in the playoffs. So a quick rise to prominence for 6081.
Yeah, so they're active, dumping those notes into the amp zone.
Doing a pretty good job, Red. I mean, it's still close. We're looking at 78 to 57 right now for Red. You would expect it to be a little bit more, of a blowout with the dead robot 818.
So Red Alliance hasn't maybe taken advantage the way they could have, but there's another couple of ring scores.
Yep, one thing to note for the Red Alliance, they do have the ability to score in the trap at the end of the match. Those are those 5-point ones that I think we'll see right now. 4362 is going to go up and hang, and I think they're going to try to score a ring in the trap, which is kind of above the hanging chain there. Although Looks like they were a little stuck, didn't get up in time.
Red Alliance a lot more proactive about getting those points at the end. And Blue Alliance only able to get 2 of their machines up. Looks like Red Alliance may have gotten all 3.
Yep, 6081 missed that hook there, so I can't tell. It looks like the corner might be touching the ground, so we might have 2 hanging robots to 2 hanging robots. But there is 1 point for parking in that stage area, so inside that taped-in area. So it's either way, it's going to be an advantage for Red here in the end game, either 1 point or 3 points, and they did have a comfortable but not massive lead going into the end game. So probably pretty comfortable if you're the Red Alliance right now.
Yeah, Red Alliance with looks like about a 20-point advantage, but again, nothing's official until they tally all the points.
Yeah, we know we saw some penalties being called. Those can always be reviewed. Occasionally, a penalty can be called by 2 refs at the same time, and they have to correct that. So sometimes you'll lose a few points, sometimes you'll gain a few points from that final review. But again, I mean, 818 not working for the entire match after autonomous mode is probably too big of a hurdle to overcome.
So we're going to have a Red Alliance win. And again, they're tabulating the scores. And back to that Blue Alliance machine. Well, there's our Red Alliance victory. The way that machine just kind of stopped performing, Dan, that's maybe an easier fix than, hey, it got hit. If something was lodged, dislocated.
Yeah.
Probably an easier fix.
Yeah.
Right?
What makes me feel good for them in that regard is that there was a big discussion between sort of the field techs and the team, and everybody seemed to sort of like understand what the issue was. If they don't know what it is, they're going to keep looking at the robot and running back and forth, and that conversation continues to go on. But it seems like they knew what it was right away. So that helps because you know what you have to go and fix. Unfortunately for them, that will be eliminated from the divisional playoffs here. So it will be our number 2 seed taking the DTE Foundation division.
Too little, too late for Blue Alliance, and a comfortable win for the Red Alliance. Here we go into split screen, starting with the Blue Alliance.
Yep. You see those 2 early misses, and that's a big problem. They needed to clean that up. We can see 3 notes on the ground.
And the 818 machine is dead right away.
Right, yep. So they ran their auto. They launched and then drove out to the middle there. Again, I didn't see impacts when they got there. So what that might be is a programming issue where it didn't make the transition from autonomous mode to teleoperated mode.
And Red Alliance, autonomous, having a good run.
We see a small bit of contact there, but it was after they were kind of stopped.
So not a lot of pressure from the Blue Alliance, and we saw the final points 99-77 as we bring up the full graphic and we can explain exactly how the Red Alliance got those 99.
Yep, speaker. 69-55 in speaker points. They got a few extra in the penalty. We talked about their stage at the end. They were going to get a few extra points there as well. But really, it was just that mid-game. When you amplify the speaker, having that 3rd robot available to also shoot notes in, and 818 not being available, unfortunately, for the number 1 seed, we saw that 14-point discrepancy, and that was the difference in this match.
Yeah, that 99-point score is about on par with what we're going to expect to see for most of the day here.
Yeah, I think as we come down now to 1 final field, we should see a lot of scores over 100.
Let's go downstairs and join Kaylee Marentet.
Hey guys, I'm here with Joseph from the Red Alliance. First of all, congratulations on that win. What do you think went right in that match that led you to this result?
Yeah, so going into that match, we knew we were going to have a hard alliance on the other side of the field, like we've had all event. This field was very hard out of all the fields. So going into it, we knew we were going to have a strong teleop. We weren't exactly confident with our 5-piece starting the event, but as the event progressed, we found more speed in our autonomous program. We came out with a punching auto. We were able to nail several notes as an alliance, but as a single robot, we got a 5-note auto functioning. That brought us in the lead, and then being able to functionally get that amplification rolling at maximum speed was really important to our alliance.
Is there anything you guys are going to change heading into what's coming next?
Going into this, definitely having a first pick with a working intake would help. But going forwards, we're definitely going to work on our strategy and making sure every node is maximized and making sure no unamplified shots. That's a very big philosophy of our alliance. Making sure the amp is always cycling, never wasting time really is the big thing in this. Very limited on time. Make sure we're fulfilling our goals as an alliance.
All right, thank you, Joseph, so much. Good luck coming up. Dan and Dan, we're going to send it back upstairs to you guys.
Thank you, Kaylee. So, moving on for the Red Alliance, 99 points. We'll take a break and continue with more from Saginaw Valley State in just a moment.
We're leading the energy transition in Michigan and creating opportunities for our youth to help us get there, like the environmental fellowship programs we support.
The overall mission of the Huron River Watershed Council is to allow interns and volunteers to be able to contribute to water improvement projects for the Huron River. I became a fellow with HRWC. I think the program is super important for not only organizations such as HRWC, but for young professionals like myself, who look like me, who come from where I come from. A lot of the work that I did with the fellowship and that I'm continuing to do now in my career pushed me in the right direction, so I'm definitely excited for what the future holds.
We know it takes all of us working together to create meaningful, lasting change. Thank you for joining us on our journey, collaborating towards a better tomorrow. Together, we will continue to be best for the world.
Welcome back as we continue here with our coverage of the ultimate day in Michigan high school robotics, and we're getting down to the nitty-gritty, as it were. The field has thinned out quite a bit since the start of competition this weekend, and let's jump into the DTE divisional brackets and get a lay of the land as to how the rest of this afternoon will play out. Dan, what is ahead for us this afternoon?
Yeah, just a quick reminder here as we look at the DTE division, DTE Foundation division bracket. There are 4 divisions here at the Michigan State Championship. We have the DTE Foundation, we have Aptiv, Hemlock Semiconductor, and the Consumers Energy Foundation. So those 4 different divisions all had their own tournament just like this. Now we have the 4 winners left. Those 4 winners are all going to gather together on one field and find out who our final champion is. So we were able to watch this match. The number 2 seed from the DTE Foundation was able to beat the number 1 seed in the finals to make it all the way to our, I guess it's our final 4 here. At Nationals, the final field where the divisions come together is called Einstein. So some people have taken to calling our version here Fimstein, because Fim is first in Michigan.
Very good. We are going to go downstairs now and connect with Kaylee as she's talking with the winner from the Hemlock field.
Hey guys, I'm here with Anna from 5712, coming from the Hemlock division. You guys won, getting yourself into the finals. How are you feeling about where you guys have been placed?
We're feeling very, very confident, very happy with our placement and our performance through the playoffs.
So how has today gone for you guys so far in your head?
We've had some ups and downs, mostly ups, thankfully. We were running into some connectivity issues back on our field, but we were able to bring in a backup bot and as well as change our game strategy to overcome it.
Anything you guys feel like you need to carry on throughout the day to get you into finals and hopefully get you a win?
I think ideally just like the positive attitude. Like, I mean, we got here, all the teams got here through their hard work, and that just, like, it needs to be appreciated, needs to be enjoyed. Obviously, we're going to be competing against the other fields, but we should have a good time while doing it.
Anything you're excited for coming into finals? I mean, obviously you're in finals, so you're excited, but...
It is our first, like, my team's first time on FinStime ever. This is our second year being a captain. This year we were captain of the first alliance. Last year we were captain of the sixth alliance. So this is a new first for us. We've never done this before. So us as a team, we're really, really excited. And so is our alliance.
Speaking of alliances, is there anyone that you guys are kind of keeping an eye on right now?
Honestly, we're just going in with an open mind. That question's kind of more for our strategists. I think a general consensus for our alliance right now and our field is to just kind of keep an open mind, not worry about it. And as our alliance partner says, rush. They say take it one note at a time. We'll worry about what's in front of us first before we look on who we're going to be competing against next.
Very good. You guys are just kind of competing with yourselves right now.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Anna, so much. I appreciate it, and good luck to you today.
Thank you.
Dan and Dan, we're going to send it back to you.
And let's get into our brackets. These are the Hemlock Semiconductor Divisional brackets.
Yep, a little bit harder road. It was a number 1 seed that won our Hemlock Semiconductor Division. But you can see they did lose in round 4, so they were forced to come back from the lower bracket and win the rematch against the 7 seed. Interesting as well, from our Hemlock Semiconductor Division, one of the winning teams is Hemlock Gray Matter.
Let's bounce downstairs quickly and rejoin Kaylee talking with the winner of the Aptive Field.
I'm here with Johanan from 7660. Thanks for joining us here today.
Of course.
So you were on the Aptive Field earlier. Tell me how that went for you guys so far.
Sure. So it was a rocky start Thursday night. We weren't doing so well. Friday morning, we just popped in and we did our best as a defense spot, and that's what we were good at the time. Ending up, we actually played very well. Our DPA was amazing. We ended up getting onto as an alliance captain, the 7th alliance, which was amazing for us, completely unprecedented as a team. And we ended up sweeping and winning eventually. It was a little rocky, but we ended up doing it. We knocked out some major friends as well, Hot Team especially. It was good fun with them.
This is actually the first time you guys have made it this far, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Tell me how you're feeling about that. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Completely just unreal. We won both of our districts for the first time ever. That was also amazing. So, I mean, winning Aptive, it's a feeling like no other. It's amazing.
Is there anything you guys are going to change or alter from earlier in the day that you're going to take into the rest of today?
So our defense has been working perfectly. It obviously has shown fantastic results. I think we're totally going to stick with that. We may end up choosing to do more cycles or none at all. It depends.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, and good luck for the rest of the day.
Thank you so much.
Dan and Dan, back upstairs.
All right, Kaylee, this is the Aptive bracket.
Yeah, so this was the exciting one. It's a 5 seed, or it's our 7 seed that made it out. And you can see a lot of upsets here. So the number 1 seed, consisting of 2 of probably the top teams in the state year after year, had some robot problems, got eliminated. 2 seed also got taken out. So the 7 seed took out the number 1 seed, the number 2 seed, and then the number 6 seed and the number 5 seed to make it here. And they're a little bit unique among the alliances we're going to see this afternoon in that they're the only one playing a lot of defense. 7660, who we heard from in that interview, does like to play defense, get in the way of the other alliance's scoring potential.
And we had Kaylee talking earlier with the winner from the Consumers Field.
I have Bodie from 6081 here. Bodie, how are you feeling going into the rest of today?
Going into FIMSTime, we are super excited to be here. I'm from Team 6081. We are representing the DTE Energy Foundation field, along with Team 4362, the Gems, and the Bell Villains from Belleville. So our alliance is getting ready for playoffs. We're getting the robots dialed in, getting the strategy dialed in, shaking off the dust after lunch, and we're super excited to play in match 1.
What are you guys kind of going in strategy-wise for the rest of the day?
going in strategy-wise, we're putting the Bell villains right on the speaker. They're going to be drilling the speaker the whole match, doing what they do best, and us and Gems are going to be doing that dance where we both hit the amp, and then we're both going back and cycling a speaker again to get those amplified shots. So it's going to be, we're going to be hitting a shot in the amp, Gems will be hitting a shot in the amp. We're going to be feeding Gems some notes from the source, and they're going to be hitting the speaker as well as us and the Bell villains at the same time during those amplifications. Maximizing points, maximizing notes. For endgame, us and Bell villains have harmonied every single match, and the Gems have been able to trap super consistently, so we're hoping to run that score up as much as possible.
All right. Well, good luck to you, Bodie. Thanks for joining us here today. Dan and Dan back upstairs.
All right, and we're going to move back to the DTE brackets. Just a quick review on this, Dan.
Yeah, so Alliance number 2, undefeated, by the way. They did not lose a single match either in the upper bracket or in the finals where it's best 2 out of 3. And talking about offense in that interview, they do have the highest average score of our 4 alliances here at 123.
And let's go to our consumers bracket now as we preview what's coming up with that group. Consumers Energy Foundation. Dan, some thoughts on this?
Yep. Again, we have another 1 seed making it out, but this was not an easy road. You can see the number 1 alliance lost in round 2, fell down to the lower bracket, and had to win their way back against the number 2, the number 3, the number 4, and the number 5 seeds. And the finals was a rematch with that 4-seeded robot. This alliance has been maybe the most versatile of the alliances coming out of the divisions. They play in a lot of different ways. Avondale sometimes will feed notes forward, so instead of shooting to score, they'll shoot to kind of pass to their teammates. And then 2054 has been one of the best scoring robots at this event.
So all 3 of those robots are familiar to people that have been, kind of following the robotics events here in Michigan for the last several years. So
yeah, those are all big names.
Yeah.
3538 won their division, so we did see them here last year on Fimstein.
So SVSU has been the host of this event for, approximately 10 years. So it's been a great run here at Saginaw Valley State. And with some thoughts on the SVSU part of it, let's hear from Deborah Huntley right now.
Hey guys, I have Deborah Huntley here sitting next to me. She is with Saginaw Valley State University. Thanks for joining us here today.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Tell me what your role is here at the university.
Sure. I'm the Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, which is essentially the person that oversees all of the academic and student functions on campus.
You have a big role.
Well, it's what a university does.
Yeah. So we're back again at Saginaw Valley State University. Talk about how exciting it is to have everyone back here.
Oh, it's just so great. We've been doing this since 2017, hosting thousands of students to come for First Robotics. We had a couple years off because of the pandemic, but we just love having the students here. There's so much energy and so much vibrancy on campus. And we're just thrilled that everybody's back.
Yeah. So obviously these are high school students. They might be thinking about where they're going to go to college next. This gives them some good exposure to the university.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And, we have some materials over in the PITS area where they can learn more about our programs and in engineering, mechanical, electrical, computer engineering, the sciences, computer science, but also business, graphic design, really across the board. We have lots of programs that these students might be interested in. And of course, we're hoping that their exposure to campus encourages them to come back and visit and learn a whole lot more about who we are and what we offer. We do know that many of these students have never been on campus, nor have their parents or their teachers. So we're really thrilled to have that exposure as well.
So speaking about what the university offers, there might be some money, some scholarships.
Sure. Well, we have a pretty robust scholarship program anyway, but we do give a couple of special scholarships for First Robotics students every year. $4,000 a year, renewable for 4 years, with other academic requirements. But still, we really want to support this effort.
I mean, that's a big help if students have in-state tuition.
Sure.
I mean, that is a big help. What would you want to tell students who are maybe interested in coming to Saginaw Valley State?
Oh, that they couldn't make a better choice. No, I'm so proud of our programs here at the university. They're very robust across all disciplines, so they'll get the academics that they need without question. But it's also a really great campus. I mean, when you walk around, you can see it's just a beautiful facility. Facilities are very modern, very well maintained. And what most people notice when they come here is that there's a real family atmosphere to it. When I came as a candidate for a job, not for this one, I came as a faculty member, but when I came as a candidate, what struck me was how everybody knew each other by name. Yeah. And that continues now, and it's just a great environment. You know, people are really friendly. We have great opportunities outside of the classroom and inside of the classroom, you know, that promote both their educational and their well-being.
You know, I had some high school friends that came here for athletics, for volleyball, and for track, and they said it's big enough to where you meet new people, small enough to where you know your classmates sitting next to you.
Yeah, what I always say is that we're big enough that we can do really innovative things, but we're small enough that we still have that community feel.
That camaraderie between students. Yeah, I agree. I also want to touch, I mean, maybe it's a little crazy here this weekend.
It is.
And I know you guys probably came back from spring break recently. Do you just want to talk about kind of how electric and energetic this makes the entire, I'm sure students are feeling it that come to the university.
Sure. Well, yeah. Absolutely. You know, I think if you could harness the energy that's in the room behind us right now, you could probably, if you could harness it and store it, you could probably power the campus for the rest of the year because there's just so much energy. You know, I just love the costumes, the hats, the buttons, the glitter, the glitz, you know, all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it does bring a lot of life to campus. We are the team that works on hosting this, led by Sue Brosser, and also the volunteer lead, who is Jake Lounsbury. You know, they do a great job of getting students and staff and faculty over here to be part of this event too. Yeah. So it does sort of spread across campus. The only downside is that if you're waiting in line for a cup of coffee at Starbucks, you're going to be waiting a while.
You're going to be there a long time. We're trying to find a parking spot. Good luck.
But no, we're thrilled to have them here. We look forward to this every year.
We're excited to be back here. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thanks for letting us host again.
Well, yeah, come back.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Dan and Dan, we're going to send it back to you guys.
Yeah, Saginaw Valley State has been such an integral part of making this event big and important. And let's just say, Dan, of the three of us, Kaylee, yourself, and myself, only one of us got a really good parking spot. and we,
it wasn't me.
Wasn't me. So we'll just kind of let that hang out there for maybe we'll address that later. Probably not. But good job, Kaylee and Deborah. Thank you so much. And let's take a look at the brackets. As you can see, the crowd kind of settling in here as we'll kind of get the lay of the land for what's coming in the matches here as the upper bracket. We'll get things started in round one.
Yep, so now the seeding kind of doesn't mean anything because obviously they each won their own division, and now we've got a bunch of division winners playing here. So we're going to have DTE Foundation face off against Aptiv in match number 1, and then we're going to see Hemlock Semiconductor against Consumer Energy Foundation in match number 2.
So really kind of an abbreviated, the last few weekends we've had longer lead-in matches, but this time we're just kind of getting right to the nitty-gritty of it.
Yeah, so it's still a double elimination tournament. That means if you lose, you'll fall down to the lower bracket. Once we get to the finals and there's only 2 teams left, it will still be best 2 out of 3. So none of that's changed, except we're dealing with 4 alliances here instead of last week at Troy, or 2 weeks ago at Troy, we were dealing with 8 alliances.
So this is where the rubber kind of hits the road, so to speak, and all these teams that have toiled so diligently over the last several weeks and months have, you don't want it to come down to mechanical failure. That's what you always want to avoid in a situation like this, because, they've worked so hard and tried to, work out all the bugs and all the kinks, but, machines fail. It's electronics. It's not perfect. So we kind of secretly cross our fingers and hope that no team has to address those issues.
Yeah, we saw, unfortunately, in the final match of DTE just a little while ago, we saw a robot go down. And that's part of the thing with this year's game is there's a lot of damage. There are big hits. It's a wide open field. And if you crash into other robots, or especially if you crash into that stage, that metal truss structure on the middle of the field, teams are hitting that at very high speeds. They're hitting it very hard. So if all of your stuff isn't sort of squared away, isn't really tightly connected, you can have all kinds of issues. Hopefully we won't see any here.
Well, we got a little time before we get things rolling here. And again, we have so much great corporate support, and the sponsors are so helpful. Let's hear from Sean Patterson from DTE, sharing his optimism of the talented students that are involved in Michigan First Robotics.
Hey guys, I'm joined by Sean Patterson with DTE. Sean, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
So tell me what you do with DTE.
So I run our environmental and corporate safety group. So on the environmental side, involved a lot in clean energy transition and moving away from fossil fuels and into renewables. So very, very exciting time and a very exciting job right now.
Speaking of right now, I know there's a lot of movement away from fossil fuels, a lot of renewable energy. We're seeing a lot more hybrid cars come out. You see this push to be renewable and energy efficient. What do you think about that? I'm sure that's crazy in your world right now.
Well, it's a big reason why we're here.
Yeah.
We have the amount of wind and solar that we put in. We're able to power now 740,000 homes, which is just astonishing. We're building out renewables at a rate that we never had before. We've closed 3 coal plants in the last 5 years. And when you think about making all of that work, and then, like you said, cars and increasingly homes are relying on electricity. So you need a grid that's flawless, because we need to get to work and we need our heaters to work at home. So we need a flawless grid, and then we got to make sure this is affordable. And so this is quite an optimization problem. And then look behind us, and that's the talent that we need to come in and help provide the answers and the solutions and the creativity and the technology that needs to come into play. And this is just the technology we have available right now. Think about hydrogen and carbon capture. These are solutions that still need to be developed commercially. So that's why we're here, because this is the pipeline we want to tap into to take on these challenges.
And these students, being high school students, they're being raised in a generation where maybe there wasn't as much as a push to get rid of fossil fuels and emissions like that when we were younger. So how important do you think it is that this is going to be ingrained in their lives when they're ready to come to someone like DTE?
I think that's a great point. It's amazing how conscious they are around climate change and issues of making sure we take care of the environment for generations to come. I mean, they are absolutely wired in. We have interns that are getting degrees in sustainability. When I was in college,
that's not a thing.
That was not a thing. I'm not even sure what the word was, to tell you the truth. But there's just so much talent that's coming into the space, which makes me very optimistic around where we're heading.
So we were talking about, this is your first time at this year at a tournament, but DTE is always at events. Talk about the partnership with DTE and these students and organizations.
Yes, it is my first, but I got to tell you, this is like a highlight weekend for me.
Oh,
to be able to come here.
Course.
I was actually first at the World Championships in St. Louis 10 years ago, and I was just 5 minutes, I'm hooked. I got to be a part of this. And I tell everyone, you can't describe this. And as we get more and more employees involved with DT, they come and see it, and they're hooked as well. But yeah, we have dozens of employees that are coaches, mentors. We sponsor over 25 teams, lots of hours that are put in. And, again, we love what's going on here. We know that this is great for our communities, great for the state of Michigan, great for the economy. And what these kids do is just inspiring to us. And we want them to be a part of DT. And I'll tell you what, year after year, the number of alums that we're a part of first grows significantly. So we're really proud to be a part of it.
Yeah. What do you think that First offers students that maybe other students wouldn't have the opportunity to do when they come to someone like DTE?
Yeah, at first, to me, this was like very much, oh my God, the technology, the engineering. And then you realize what they're actually doing is running small companies. They have to market. They have to fundraise, keep statistics, form alliances.
Team build,
Team
everything.
build.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there is the technology and engineering and the folks that are down there driving these robots. I mean, that's a different mindset, too. It's a whole company, so they're really learning how to fit inside of a high-performing organization.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate your time, Sean.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to send it back upstairs.
Thanks, Kaylee. A little bit of a delay here. This is the 4362 machine from CSPA GEMS for the Red Alliance. That robot's running fine. There is a Blue Alliance robot, the Hammerheads from Troy High School, that is being tended to as we speak. Dan, is it par for the course? There's a certain system that the robots run through to be checked. Something's wrong, and you got to be repaired.
Yeah, so I mean, you might have caught too. We were running some practice matches here on the DTE Foundation field. So there were 4 fields in this gym, 2 hours ago. We've disassembled 3 of them and started packing those up. So what that means is the winners from the other 3 fields now are on a brand new field. So we had to do those kind of practice matches to make sure that they could calibrate to this field, adjust to it. There's some small differences in size to there's tolerances on the field. So one of the things that they do is they run those practice matches over here, and I thought I saw 226 in those practice matches working. So I wouldn't think the issue is necessarily switching fields based. But you can see they're still over in their kind of pit area. Teams kind of make a secondary pit area out here on the gym floor so they don't have to run all the way back to the auxiliary gym and get stuff set up. But the fact that they're sort of moving now and nobody is working on the robot makes me think that robot is ready to go. They just got to get it staged.
And downstairs, Kaylee's in the right place at the right time. Kaylee, what are you seeing?
Hey, Dan and Dan. Yeah, we're down here on the floor just taking a look at some of the maintenance that's going on with some of these bots. If you want to take a look, we have some team members here working on 7660. I've seen a lot of duct tape rips going on, a lot of last-minute maintenance happening. Dan, I have a question for you. So this isn't the bot that's causing the delay, but could there be a delay penalty in something like this? Let's say they can't get it done in time or it's delaying it so much. Is there a penalty that can happen?
Yeah, and there are new guidelines this year with that. Essentially, there is a start time for the match, and your robot is supposed to be on the field ready to go at that start time. If you start basically delaying past that, there's some times that you have to be ready by or you get penalized. That's going to be up to the head ref here on this field to decide when it's been enough time for them to get ready. There's probably a little bit of leniency here for this first match just because there's a lot going on to move all the teams over here, get them on the field, and get them set up.
So we kind of need to move.
But if it happens again later, then we'll see kind of teams being more, the field crew being more strict with the teams.
And Dan, the other question I have, she mentioned the 2 dreaded words, duct tape. Now, I'm very pro duct tape personally. However, is there a good space and place to be using duct tape on your machine?
Yes.
Okay.
It depends on what it is that they're fixing, but there are lots of fixes for which duct tape is fine. Actually, fun fact, duct tape used to be illegal, and you weren't allowed to use it at all for a lot of years. So they changed that rule, so of course now it's fine. But yeah, if you're just kind of patching stuff up or getting things out of the way, duct tape is fine. If you have structure that's overlapping, you can a lot of times use duct tape and it's going to be strong enough. But if you have 2 pieces that are coming together that used to be bolted or welded together and you're trying to hold it together with duct tape, it's probably not going to go well.
Okay. Here's our matchups as we dive into it with our DTE Foundation Red Alliance, Manchester, Cheryl Stockwell Academy, and Belleville. Then the Aptive Blue Alliance, Father Gabriel Richard, Troy, and Woodhaven.
Yep, and 4362 and 3604, I believe, were partners last year. And now they got to play against each other. Oh, sorry, in 19.
Okay, right.
A few years ago, they were partners.
So a lot of familiarity at this highest level, right? We've kind of eliminated the pretenders from the contenders. And now these teams all have a pretty good pulse on their own machines and who they're going up against, right?
Yep, and those two teams won the state championship in 2019, so they definitely are familiar with that and familiar with this whole process. 7660, though, is their first time, I believe, on an alliance at all at states, and they are the captain of our active alliance here.
Yeah, their robot is called Fruit Loop, and that's Ann Arbor Father Gabriel Richard. So certainly a nice to have some new teams that are coming in to, you know, kind of stake their claim.
Yeah, 6081, another team who I think played in their first playoffs last year, but has been great this year. So that's another team kind of bursting onto the scene here.
So we are almost set for our autonomous period. And still one issue with a Red Alliance robot, CSPA Gems.
See, it looks like doing some work in the driver station, not at the robot. So they're probably waiting for it to connect all the way, maybe camera issues. Looks like something maybe just got restarted. You can tell they're not, you know, nobody was on the controls doing stuff. Well, now we got some things happening, but a lot of times, just like at home, the first thing we do when something isn't working and it's technological based, you turn it off, you turn it on again. So that computer might be restarting.
That sounds like you talking to your grandparents, right?
Yep.
So the well, it's better to be addressing that way than it is to be actually out on the field working on the robot.
Yeah, because in all likelihood, this is something that they'll get more leeway fixing because the communications between that driver station, that computer that we're looking at, and their robot goes through the field. So that's actually, I think that's our FTA here for this field. That's Kyle. And so the fact that he's over there and he's part of this process leads me to believe that, you know, there may be some extra issues. Basically, it goes from the laptop to the field server, from the field server to the robot. And so some of that is not under the team's control. So you get a little bit more leeway when that's the issue, and you get a little bit more support making sure that works. If your robot is like broken in half, for example, and you're not ready to start the match, there's nothing you can do about that at all.
So they're checking the camera setup, which means what?
So a lot of these robots have cameras on them. They can be used for a bunch of different things. Some teams have it just so that they can see in areas where the driver doesn't have good sight lines. But a lot of these cameras actually have machine learning on them or vision systems on them. So some teams can actually detect the orange notes and be able to auto-track for that. There are also these April tags on the field. We call those visual fiducials a few weeks ago, but they can use the camera to target those and actually help aim the robot.
All right, so thumbs are up, and away we go here. 15 seconds of autonomous.
So you want to keep an eye on that middle. Who is getting the extra notes from the middle? So 2 for red now, 1 for blue.
And the notes and the rings are flying here.
Blue gets a second one but misses it. Otherwise, that would have been dead even.
Goon Squad machine.
You can see 7660 now playing that defense. They're going to try to lock up that lane leading to the feeding station for red. So it's going to be up to the Gems, 4362, to find a different path, find ways around it. Same thing for 6080, and 6615 is dead, completely turned off.
Wow, so, a lot of defense going on already, and the robot that's down.
It was a big hit, 7660, and I think it was a clean hit. It was bumper to bumper, but there is no power on that robot from up here that I can see. And if it turned off, they're not coming back.
Blue Alliance with some amplified points. Red Alliance now answering, but again, as we remind you, having a downed robot is not necessarily a deal breaker.
Yeah, but looking at it, 7660 is also not moving. I can't see their stack light from here, but I think they are out too. And I don't see lights on that robot either, but it is behind the stage for us. So this might be a 2v2 the rest of the way, which could be good for red because that defense was causing them problems at the start. But bad for red is both of the dead robots are sort of dead in their area. 226 also being very smart right here, stealing notes. You have to be careful. There are areas on the field that you cannot go If you get contacted in those areas, it's a penalty. Usually the blue tape means that red robots can't be there. Red tape means that blue robots can't be there. But if you can sneak in and out and grab a note when nobody's there, you can get away with a steal.
The Hammerheads robot for the Blue Alliance takes a bump. And now scoring up to shoot, but a little bit of a delay. Now they score that note.
Blue is starting to pull away. Another amplification period here. Remember, when the amplification happens, shots in that high speaker are worth 5 points instead of 2. It is massive. The game is all about scoring amplified notes in the speaker.
And now we'll see which of these robots are going to go to their stages and try and hang. Looks like all 4 of the functioning robots are making their move.
Yep, everybody is up except 4362. So don't know what happened there. They also have the ability to score in the trap when they go up at the end. So that's 5 more points that they're not going to get.
So the down robots, one alliance impacted quite a bit more. And you can see the 6881 or 6081 machine. Digital dislocators. Sorry, digital dislocators.
Yep.
Well, we're going to have a kind of a fairly sizable score disparity, which you would not expect, Dan, with both teams losing machines.
Yeah, it felt like when both of those robots were still working at the beginning, 7660's defense was giving the Aptiv division champions the upper hand. And then when both of those robots went out, kind of they hit each other and lights out for both of those robots. It looked like our Aptiv Alliance did a better job of adjusting to that. And maybe that's because they didn't expect 7660 to be part of their offensive cycles. Whereas on DTE in red, they had to maybe change the way they were playing. So who was scoring in the amp and how they were getting those amplified scores.
Blue Alliance is the winner. And not even that close as we do a final tabulation of all the points. There it is. Almost 100 points for the Blue Alliance. And I don't know if that surprises you at all, Dan, but still, anytime you get that close to 100, you know things are going pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we hope to see some scores well above 100 here, 110, 120. But this Aptiv Alliance, their average coming into the finals here, the Final Four here, was only like 92, 93 points. So they're right on their average. But the key is this Aptiv Alliance is our lowest scoring alliance, but they play the most defense. And our DTE Alliance had been averaging 123 points a match, but through that defense and then that lost robot, falling all the way down to 61.
Let's buzz downstairs and check in with Kaylee.
I have Johanan here with the Blue Alliance. Obviously a great win. You guys had a bot down, though. Any idea what happened there?
So 7660 has been having this problem for a while now through our qualifications and playoffs, where just our excessive defense, even though it is great, it causes the motors to have a lot of stress, and therefore our breaker shuts off everything because there's too much current running in the robot. It's a tough problem to solve. Hot Team was having the same one, but I know we'll get through it, and we have, and that's why we're here.
What do you think went right in this match that you guys want to take moving forward?
I think immediately right off the bat, our team went in for defense. We were getting hit by 2 robots, but we were keeping them from scoring. It went perfectly to plan. Even though it was basically 1 robot down on each side, it worked out.
Okay, well, thank you and good luck for your next round.
Thank you so much.
Dan and Dan back upstairs.
Thank you, Kaylee. Let's get into our results. The numbers, well, tell the story. Everything's pretty even except speaker points.
Yeah, and that's where we will almost always see the big discrepancies. You can see 6 in the amp versus 4 in the amp means that our Aptiv Alliance in blue got 1 extra amplified period. That's one way to run up your speaker score. It also looked like in that match, 4362, one of the top scoring robots in the state was maybe not working completely correctly either. So we'll have to watch them when they come back out and see if they have that robot sorted as well.
So we are getting ready for the next match. And yeah, here's the layout for what's coming up with match 2. the Hemlock Semiconductor Red Alliance with Hemlock, Clarkston, and Pontiac. And then Consumers Energy Foundation rolling out the Avondale, Hopkins, and Center for Innovation robots.
Yep, and again, we have some more connections between the teams here. 27 and 35-38 faced off in 22 here on Fimstein on our final field here.
So the headgear is out and strong.
Yep, Tech Vikes, they always have those.
Yeah, that's a tradition. That's a mainstay.
Yep. So we'll see. The Tech Vikes, another old team, been around for a long time.
And away we go. Autonomous for 15 seconds. A few misfires for the Blue Alliance. Right off the hop.
Not a great start. They are able to get a couple more from the center line. 27, though, with this last second shot. Going to miss that. But edge to red.
Yeah. Good showing for Red Alliance in Autonomous. Now the real fun starts.
You can see 27 being very smart. A bunch of extra notes on the floor for Blue. And 27 coming over there trying to steal the ones they can. 35-38 is playing a feeder strategy. Now coming up to add to the scoring. But they've been passing some shots from midfield. And the key with those shots that you pass forward is they have to land in a safe spot where the other alliance cannot poach them.
The Wings of Fire Red Alliance robot doing good things, moving very quickly back and forth. Grabbing notes and firing them in.
There's amplification for Red, waiting till the last second to hit that button there, human player. And an unlucky bounce out. So that was not the best amplification period. Another last second miss by 27.
Still a decent lead, though, for the Red Alliance.
Yep, we'll see. Blue just amplified, so if they can put a bunch in here, they can close that gap. But 2054 missed a shot.
And just made one. And then another one.
Yep, and there's the strength of that passing forward. 35-38 dumped a bunch of extra rings in that corner early. Now they can use them during the amplification period for maximum benefit.
Good pickup by the 57-12 Hemlock machine. And boy, we are really racking up some points here.
It's the danger with passing forward, though. 35-38, a little bit off on one of their shots, got it stuck on top of the stage. So that one just ends up being a waste of time.
Inside 40 seconds left. Red Alliance comfortably ahead.
2054 is not moving. There was a big hit, I think, with 27. And 2054 might be out.
So now we'll see if Red Alliance can kind of ice this thing by getting some hanging points as they go to stage.
Yep, 2054 kind of moving again, so maybe they rebooted. If your Robo Rio reboots, that's the computer on the robot, it could be like 30 seconds. Radio will take longer. There's a good trap, though, by 2054, so that's 5 points.
That's a good finish by both alliances, but boy, the way the Red Alliance just came out, they look like gangbusters.
Yep. So, and there's 2 Red Alliance robots hanging on the same chain. You get a buddy bonus for that. So they get 3 points for each hanging robot. That's 6. You get 2 bonus points for sharing the chain. So 8 points for them. On the blue side, 2054 hanging for 3 points, and the trap that they scored is worth 5. So they've got 8 points on their own. So blue will make up some of the difference here in the end game, but you know, probably not enough. Red had really taken advantage of some of those amplification periods.
Yeah, that was super efficient from beginning to end for the Red Alliance. And the points will be indicative of that, but you don't need to see the points to know how good they were.
Yep, yeah. You know, 2054, though, is sort of the linchpin of offense for our Blue Alliance here. So it's up to them to...
Linchpin, why?
So a lot of those passes that 35-38 was making, they were kind of forwarding, passing those notes forward. 2054 then is supposed to be able to clean them all up quickly. And we saw that during the one amplification period.
While they're cheering for a Red Alliance win, we're going to tell you exactly how much they scored. And you're going to be impressed. There it is, 129. That is a high score.
It is. It is not it is their highest score, actually. So throughout the tournament. Oh no, sorry. Let me double check that. Their highest score is actually a 140. I think that they did earlier. So getting back up there, but not quite as high as they can go.
And that is rare air for sure. Let's jump downstairs. Talking with Hemlock, the winner, the Red Alliance. Kaylee.
Yeah, this is Anna. She is with the Red Alliance. You guys came in super hot out of autonomous mode, and then obviously a very high score. What do you think led up to that?
Oh man, lots of planning, lots of scouting our opposing alliance, and honestly just kind of getting in the groove. We kind of try to lock in.
You guys did get that buddy hang to get you some extra points. Was that intentional, or did it just kind of fall into place?
A little bit of both. We're trying to take these matches just like we took them on our field, and I'm pretty sure the plan was on our original field to do that, get as many points during that hang. So,
all right, well, congratulations on that win. Dan and Dan, we're going to send it back upstairs to you guys.
All right, Anna, congratulations. Thank you, Kaylee. And here's the numbers. 105 speaker points.
Yep, and the 105 speaker points, when you see a big number, you always have to look at the amp scoring next. And 10-6 in amp points, it's only 4 points, right? But what that means is there were 5 amplification periods for red, only 3 amplification periods for blue. And again, when it's amplified, instead of 2 points a shot, you're getting 5 points a shot. They're like 2.5 times as valuable.
Let's go split screen and review the autonomous mode for both of these teams. And, you know, Blue Alliance stand with 93 points?
Yep.
Well, that's pretty good, but they were kind of in the dust.
Yeah, and we've been talking about this too. 100 points, probably enough to win you an event 3 weeks ago.
Not
now,
today.
here on this field, it's going to have to be higher than that.
Yeah, not today. So let's dive into our replay here. On the right side is the Blue Alliance in autonomous.
Yep, 2 missed shots. We can see, though, that there is one kind of extra note from the middle, and then they got outraced to every other middle note. So those rings that start on the middle of the field are your key differentiator. Like, you should be able to make your starting note. You should be able to make the ones that are in the middle. You can see 27 got outraced there to the 1, but then is able to come back and get the second one. And then Hemlock here, 57-12, able to come up and pick the last one off the middle. They weren't able to fire it, and 27 wasn't able to score their one, but you've got 2 extra notes on your side, and you denied those from the other team, so it's still a pretty big difference.
And there's your 66-15 machine. All quiet on the repair front. So, you know, she mentioned something about their strategy, or their scouting. Anna did in that report from Kaylee.
Yep.
Do you think you could flesh out what she meant by what they had scouted that thought would give them an advantage?
So, I mean, it's a little tough here because you're in different divisions, but a lot of these teams will have people that are assigned to watch the other fields as they're playing their elimination matches, especially in the finals when you know it's going to be one of those 2 teams that you might see later. So they were watching that. They were looking for, hey, is there anything that this alliance is going to do that is going to make us change the way we've been playing? And I think she came back and said, look, our plan was to do the buddy climb, to climb together on the same chain there at the end, get those extra points, run up the end game score as much as possible, and that they didn't see anything else that they felt they had to change. And you know, we might not see that until they face Aptiv, which I believe they'll be facing next. Aptiv is our one alliance that is playing a lot of defense, and that might force some of these other alliances to change up their game.
Let's take a time out here and talk with one of our corporate sponsors as we welcome Kevin Price from Aptiv.
Hey guys, I'm here with Kevin Price. He is with Aptiv. Thanks for joining us here today.
Great. Glad to be here.
First of all, what is Aptiv? What do you guys do?
We are a safe, green, and connected company that we do the nervous system and the brain of the vehicle in the mobility industry.
Very good. So People who have been around First know that they've definitely seen Aptiv around. You guys are a sponsor for us. Talk about why Aptiv decided to get involved with First and be a sponsor.
So we sponsor teams in over $400,000 a year in sponsorships for all the teams across Indiana, Michigan, Florida, Ohio, and in Mexico and Morocco. Wow. And we believe in the spirit of First. So for inspiration and recognition, science and technology is extremely important in our business as we build the next generation systems of mobility. Having the compute on board in vehicles and also having the perception systems as well is very important.
Talk about the relationship that you guys have with First and these students. I'm sure you guys are mentors here. And
Right. We have over 100 employees that actually actively mentor the teams. I myself actually mentor Team 245.
Nice.
And very proud of the team is here participating today. They're doing very well. But I get to see directly how the kids learn in high school. They go through college, they come out, they say, hey, Mr. Price, I need a job. And it's like, okay, come on board.
Yeah.
And they plug and play tremendously well.
Yeah. What's it like being able to be on the floor and actually see these students, but also be such an important sponsor?
It's very proud. I'm very proud to see the Aptiv name. And it's fun where the kids see Aptiv and they relate to me and know what's Aptiv about, and so they want to come see where we work at. So they actually come and visit. Additionally, the kids, seeing them learn and teach me, right? When we're doing object detection as an example, and the tricks they come up with, perception, I actually can take back to my workforce at Aptiv and say, hey, have we thought about this before? Because the kids are so creative and not inhibited,
They
right?
have like a fresh perspective on
They
things.
do. They're so creative, right? A lot of us, as we get older and older, we get a little bit more fixed in our ways.
So talk about all the programs that Aptiv is involved with.
So we not only do First Robotics Competition, we also support First Tech Challenge and First Lego League. So the whole progression of the First programs, Aptiv actively supports with employees and funding.
So obviously these kids or students are still in high school. They still have to get through college and everything. What if they wanted to get involved with Aptiv? What would be your advice to them?
So stay in touch, right? Keep filling out, look for an internship opportunity with Aptiv. Stay in touch with your mentors, network. Find mentors who are with an Aptiv. It shouldn't be too hard actually to find an Aptiv mentor, and stay in touch with us, and we can keep them involved in the program.
What kind of jobs would, let's say I'm involved in this, and what kind of jobs would Aptiv be able to offer me?
So you have internship opportunities in sensors, like perceptions and sensors on the algorithms. So building how the cars detect other cars and pedestrians and vulnerable road users. Also developing circuit boards. You start looking at how we wire vehicles together, how we manage all the sensors together. They can actually be an electrical engineer designing those printed circuit boards, as an example. Even a project manager. So some of these kids organizing over 50 people on a robotics team is complicated. They could be a program manager if maybe the die-hard engineering stuff's not as interesting to them.
So you are obviously a proud member of Aptiv. You're here speaking on their behalf. Why do you like working at Aptiv?
So the brain and nervous system is so much fun for me to be able to not only work on the compute, also work on the sensors that are doing the perception systems, and knowing, most importantly actually, that I'm making it safer to be in an automobile. So if you drive in a vehicle today, right, you see over a 70% reduction in incidents on the road because of safety systems. So being part of that is what's important to me.
Oh, awesome. All right, Kevin, thank you so much for joining us here today. I appreciate your time and Aptiv being a sponsor. Dan and Dan, back to you guys.
Kevin and Kaylee, thank you. We got a little energy in the house. Little dance time between matches.
And I just have to do this because you're always asking me who people are.
Oh.
Kevin's son, Caleb, actually worked for me last summer.
Really?
Yeah, helping to run our STEM summer camps.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
But he's doing a lot of great work over there with 245, and especially, like he talked a little bit about it, but it's not just the high school level that we're seeing here, but you want to get kids involved in this, excited by this stuff earlier. So it is the first Lego League level in elementary school and first Tech Challenge in middle school, and they have a bunch of those teams and excellent programs as well.
Well, let me play off one of Kaylee's questions that she asked Kevin, and I'll propose this to you. For someone that's in high school and doesn't really, they just want to be part of the robotics part of it. They don't really care about which company or which sponsor they're involved with. What's the path in that way?
Well, there's a few things, right? I think that for all of these companies that sponsor our events or sponsor teams, that is one way for you to get your name in front of these kids who are going to be, very good at what they do, or are going to be, a head start on their, technological training. So Aptiv, for example, right, like it's a very big company, but a lot of people haven't heard of it until they go to an event, and it's like, oh, this is Aptiv Field. So now, when they're looking for that internship, that's a place they're going to go to. And then the flip side, though, is these companies know that students who go through the FIRST robotics competition programs are kind of more ready to jump in and contribute sooner. They need less training. They've already been hands-on working on some machine vision or machine learning or vision stuff in order to track the notes or whatever it is for that year's game. So we've heard time and time again from people that are there hiring the interns or finding these interns, and they're like, when I see FIRST Robotics on the application, like that one's going to the top of the pile.
We have a graphic where we would give out your personal phone number, Dan, but we'll lay off that. Sorry, repeat that. We have Chris Wake, one of the executive VPs at FIRST.
I have Chris Rake here with me. He's the Chief Operating Officer with FIRST. Very awesome to have you here with us.
Oh, it's awesome to be here. Thank you so much for allowing me to come and experience this whole thing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So this is your first experience. Tell me what you're thinking about all of this.
Yeah, I've not been able to attend a FIRST district championship. And so, they've said, hey, look, Michigan, they've been doing this a long time.
We do it.
You have 160 teams here. You got to come see it. So it's like, yeah, let's check it out. And I came in, I was immediately blown away by just the scale, but more, I think, the people. I mean, FIRST is about a community, and I see it everywhere I go here, and I feel like I'm home because it's like a homecoming.
It's truly Super Bowl weekend.
It really is.
So your first district championship here, but not first time with FIRST. Tell me about all the years that you've spent.
Yeah, so I've been volunteering for more than 20 years. So I started a long time ago. I was a mentor, worked for a strategic partner called National Instruments, and I was an engineer. And the company said, hey, go mentor this team after school. We'll cover your costs. You don't have to do overtime or PTO or anything. Just go mentor this team. And I fell in love with the students. I got to see the impact of FIRST firsthand. I got to see students really get transformed by the experience. So I really fell in love with the mission. And then a few years ago, I had an opportunity to leave my for-profit job and go join a nonprofit and move to New England. And I've been doing that for about 5.5 years now. And I said, there's not many nonprofits I would do this for. But I fell in love with FIRST. I'm a believer.
Yeah.
And so I'm here to help continue the growth of FIRST and enabling so that every student can have access to an incredible program like this.
So one of those students is your son.
Yeah.
Talk about what it's like, and you mentor your son's team. Talk about what it's like watching him go through something that you love so much.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, FIRST can be a transformative experience. And so my son, he was not part of a FIRST Lego League. Back then, it was called FIRST Lego League Junior.
Mm-hmm.
So he was in the FIRST Lego League team and then kind of grew up and now is in high school and has joined his high school robotics team. And now he's getting to experience all of the benefits that come with FIRST because, he's been mechanical. And I'd never seen him handle any mechanical tools before. And he's in the shop. He's sitting there deburring holes and drilling and just happy as can be. And I think he may have discovered a calling here that he would not have otherwise discovered if he weren't part of FIRST. And that's what this is all about.
Yeah. I kind of want to talk to you about the mission of FIRST, if you want to tell people about what the mission is.
Yeah, sure. So FIRST has been around for 35 years. And really, the mission is about inspiring future generations of science and technology enthusiast students and having them develop the skills that will allow them to build a better world. FIRST is more than just robots, right? I mean, you look at this as a robotics competition, but it's really not, right? It's not really about the students building the robots to compete. It's about using robotics to build the students for tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And that is, in a nutshell, what FIRST is all about. It's really about transforming, it's really about enabling, and ultimately really celebrating science and technology, making it the celebrity that it deserves, and putting on a show that's worthy of broadcast.
Yeah.
That's what this is all about.
That's definitely the quote of the day here. Students are building the robots are building the students.
Yeah, I have to give Dean Kamen credit for that quote, but it's a really, really good
That's
quote.
a good one. That's a good one. What advice would you give as a parent to other parents who might want to get their kids involved in FIRST?
I would say that there's a lot of things out there. There's a lot of distractions. You know, my kid is glued to his phone all the time, you know, addicted to social media and gaming. And it's really easy to let those years go by very, very quickly. And so I would say is, you know, look for the opportunities for engagement. Look for opportunities where, you know, maybe it's part of a belonging of a community or a group of friends, or, you know, learning new skills, and say, look, there's this thing called FIRST that's so diverse. You don't have to be an electrical engineer or mechanical. You can be an artist. Mm-hmm. You can be, you know, you can be a project manager.
You can do marketing.
You can do marketing, social media.
Yeah.
Like, FIRST is one of those things, particularly FIRST robotics competition, where there's a little bit of everything in there. Mm-hmm. And so if you're like, hey, you know, let's get off the sofa. Let's put the phone down for at least a few minutes and go broaden your horizons. I can't think of another experience like that's like FIRST that allows one to kind of discover a lot of different things and then choose the pathway that works for them. And that's what I'm really looking forward to, and I'm seeing in my own son, is that discovery and transformation that comes with that will basically be with him for the rest of his life.
Oh, these are core values that these students are learning at a young age.
Absolutely.
Truthfully, I look back and I'm like, why didn't I do this?
Yeah, like my school didn't have one of these teams when I was young, but they do now.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's really incredible to see it in person. And you just go talk to these students.
Sure.
Like, you can talk to me and I can tell you about FIRST and all the history and whatnot.
But it's them.
Yeah. The students, I mean, that's all you have to do. You talk to them, you'll fall in love, and you can't say no to this.
All right, Chris, thank you so much for joining us here today. Dan and Dan, we're going to send it back to you guys.
Yeah, another big thanks to Chris and everybody else that kind of shares his passion and enjoyment of being involved in robotics. It pays off in so many different ways, and there's hundreds of stories of people like Chris, and we don't get to talk to all of them, but his story certainly represents the way a lot of the volunteers feel.
Yep, for sure.
Brackets. As we get a little energy coming from the playing field here as we now move into round 2.
Yep, remember, lower bracket, if you lose, you're out. Upper bracket, you still have that one loss to give. So DTE Foundation and Consumers Energy Foundation divisions both need to win to stay alive.
So it is time to win or go home here at Saginaw Valley State. Here's our matchup with Father Gabriel Richard, Troy and Woodhaven, the active Red Alliance, and then the Blue Alliance is Hemlock. And away we go.
Their first match, they both scored 6 notes in auto. We'll see 27 with a missed pickup there, and a missed shot as well on the red side.
And the Hemlock machine with a score here as we move out of autonomous.
A bunch late there for Blue, for our Hemlock Semiconductor Alliance, 41-26.
Pretty good splash early for the Blue Alliance.
So 76-60, remember this active alliance, that's the defensive robot. They just held up Hemlock 57-12 for a while, and then they held up 27. 27 basically gave up, left the loading zone, crossed the field to use one of the notes that they had on the ground because they couldn't get through the defense.
Yeah, they're back on defense again.
That's it, just look at how well they're holding. And the key here is if they get pushed into that blue area, into that blue taped area, it would have been a penalty. They're releasing at exactly the right time, getting the maximum amount of delay without getting that penalty, and that's hard to do.
That's Team Rush for the Blue Alliance getting out of the way of that defensive robot.
Meanwhile, 51 is not moving. It looks like they might be hung up. That robot doesn't look like it's flat on the ground.
Now dislodged by his teammate.
Yep, there we go.
Good help. So an assist from the Blue Alliance gets them back on track with a modest about 12-point lead here as we come up on a minute to go.
Yep, Red able to close a little bit. Both sides need one more up. Red and Blue, they both now have an amplification ready. So that's going to be the key. This amplification period has to go well for Red.
And there's a miss on that shot.
Key note on that miss, though, is the human player did not activate amplification when the shot was taken. He waited until after it was scored.
Defense again played by that Hemlock,
Look at that.
Hemlock machine.
And 27, right? Like, this is a great offensive robot. This robot on an empty field is putting up gobs of points. And look how they break off at exactly the perfect moment at the end.
Well, still a Red Alliance lead. Sorry, a Blue Alliance lead. But let's see as we get into the hanging period as the machines moving to the stage. Try to get some more points. Blue Alliance in good shape that way. 1 is left on the ground. Red Alliance gets 2.
Yep, looks like both sides have 2 up in there. I can't completely see. Who's that on the far side there? That's 57-12. It looks like they're up from here. 51's on the ground. But you did see the human player, the Team 27 human player, hit that ring toss throw, which means any robots hanging on the chain below it gets a bonus point. So 27 hanging on that chain instead of being worth 3 points is worth 4 this time.
May not be enough, though, for the Red Alliance to come all the way back.
Yeah, it looks like, I mean, endgame is almost a tie. I think it's that 1 bonus point maybe for Blue. So Hemlock getting 1 extra point there. But yeah, their lead, Blue, Hemlock having the lead going into that endgame. And then a basically tied endgame means presumably Hemlock is going to find a way to sneak this one out. But look at these scores, right? We're waiting for the final, the endgame points. But both scores are well under 100 points right now. And Hemlock in their first match, right, don't forget, put up 129 points. So that defense having significant effect on the scoring output of our Blue Alliance here, the Hemlock Alliance.
And there may be a scoring issue in the autonomous mode that we think they're reviewing right now to get some clarity on that.
Yep, so notes scored in autonomous mode are worth 5 points. If they're scored after autonomous mode ends, they're only worth 2. Now, what can happen occasionally is an alliance that shoots a bunch of rings in at the same time can jam the mechanism a little bit. And if the mechanism's jammed and they aren't able to clear it out in time, when those notes pass through, they're going to be scored at 2 points instead of 5 points.
So hypothetically, you could have fewer points than you would have otherwise because they don't sort properly.
Yeah, it could be something like 9 or 12 points that did not get counted correctly. So we'll see here, Blue, you can see some of the ones on the ground not being scored. Those 2 misses there, 27 able to get that last one at the very end.
Let's move to the red side and see.
So here's where I'm looking to see. Those are feeding through the top section, but I can't see if they're feeding through the bottom section. It didn't look like a jam to me, so I'm not sure what they're looking at.
So we're expecting a Blue Alliance win, but we want to get the total numbers.
Yep.
And it is a Blue Alliance win. And a one-sided win at that. And the point adjustment in favor of the Blue Alliance. So they don't get to 100, but they do put the hammer down on the Red Alliance and send them home.
And this Red Alliance kind of doesn't have as much margin on their offensive side because they are committing a robot to defense the whole time. That does put more pressure on 3604 and 226 to, carry that offensive burden for the Alliance. And it looks like, I don't know, we saw some issues with the autonomous score. Obviously, their speaker score is way down, which is surprising because I think we're playing the amp well. So we'll see when the full score breakdown here comes up to see what we can see. But
let's hear from the winning Alliance and head downstairs with Kaylee.
Hey guys, Anna is here with me again. Anna, you guys are really coming in hot the last few games, getting up some high numbers. Talk about your defense a little bit in this last match.
Yeah, so we don't play defense as much, but we do obviously face some opponents that played on us. And I don't want to reveal the secret strategy, but I mean, we anticipate it, right? We want to be able to supposedly dance around them. So we kind of have some strategies. Then they kind of have some fun names, like I know Rush has one that's like grocery shopping. I'm not going to tell you what it means, but we anticipate defense and we change our strategy around it, and obviously it worked. So
it's working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But do you guys have anything that you want to work on maybe heading into the next match?
Not really. Just knock on wood.
That's a good problem. All right, Anna, thank you so much. Dan and Dan back upstairs.
Kaylee, thank you. Anna, very well spoken.
Yep.
She's handling her end of it very well. Let's break down the numbers, Dan, and see how everything tallied up the way it did. Boy, the speaker, that's almost a 2-for-1 for the Blue Alliance in that category.
Yeah, so if you take a look at the amp score, though, only 4 amp points for Blue. That means they only got 2 amplification periods. They made up for that with a very good autonomous mode and probably maximizing those amp periods. Meanwhile, 8 amps for the Red Alliance means they should have had 4 amplification periods. It means that they are not doing a good job of amplifying at the right time to get full value for their speaker shots. 10 penalty points, nice but inconsequential. And we talked about the stage points. That 1-point edge, 8-7, that is thanks to that human player throw.
So the Hemlock Semiconductor Alliance. All right, well, a little curveball thrown in here. We're replaying match 3.
Disregard that scoring sheet that you just saw. That 92-59 victory for Hemlock. The issue appears to be the speaker was not counting correctly, or was jammed up or something. So there was a speaker issue. We talked a little bit about what that might mean or what that might be. Turns out that was the case, and that explains a lot. I mean, we talked about 4 amplification periods, and that was all the points they got out of it. Should have been much higher. Turns out it should have been much higher. There was an issue. We'll have to replay it.
So it's not just the machines on the field that have problems technically.
Yep.
Sometimes it's the equipment that manages everything. So a replay of match 3 is coming up.
And the key here is just that, you got to credit the field staff because things can go wrong, but the worst outcome there is that they don't catch it, right? And we award an Alliance a victory when it wasn't fairly earned.
So we're gonna play this match.
Then we'll
go follow back to it. Okay, so our traffic is clear. So this is match 4.
Yep, we got DTE and Consumers Energy. So if we take a look, DTE scored only 61 points in their first match. They had some issues. I think we were talking about 43-62 potentially not playing as well as we had seen them play in the past. And 66-15 was the robot that got knocked out with that big hit with 76-60.
Yeah.
Playing the defense. So 61 points, not great, but there are reasons why it was so low. Consumers, meanwhile, in their first match, put up a 97. Sorry, put up a 97. So a fairly good first match for them as well.
And you're in the 90s, you're comfortable with how much you score. However, again, the air is rare with all these teams. 90 point is not going to be a guaranteed win necessarily. So all the machines are in place, just waiting for that must-have thumbs up. And away we go here with autonomous for 15 seconds.
So 43-62 and 35-38 went for the same note there. 43-62 was faster to both of them. And then a misgrab by 20-54. So this is going to be an advantage to Red. But Red did completely cross the middle line. So there is a potential penalty if they contacted something on the other side that would be consequential.
Yeah, notes are flying now. We got a couple of Red Alliance robots working very actively in their side of the field.
That score does not look right to me.
No.
It is 10-24. I wonder if it's still not counting correctly. We do have somebody back there, though. Kyle is back there, the FTA, so he will be, basically keeping track of when stuff was scored and how much it was worth.
But if you're trying to do that manually in your own head, that changes your strategy, right?
So here's the thing that teams now need to be aware of. If this is not scoring correctly, the field group may be able to get the correct score, but it means this real-time score means nothing to us. So you cannot make strategy decisions going from this point to the end of the match based on the real-time score. And we know for sure it's not counting because, I mean, they're only up to 12 points, and I've seen them score more than that.
So in a way, the Red Alliance is flying blind.
Yeah, and blue too, because blue doesn't know what they have to beat.
Yeah, that's true. But at least they feel like they're getting an ample amount of points, which they are.
Yes, correct.
So there's going to be a lot to figure out once we get to double zeros on the clock.
60-81, playing some defense. Interesting. They had a ring on their robot. It popped off, so that's not going to be a problem for them. But switching to defense, could be indicative of the robot is having issues. There's something broken because they do not normally play that role.
So now we'll see who makes their move to hang on get to the stage.
Yep, gems are back. A little trouble with their intake there, but it looks like they're fully functional.
So we're right on stage zone right now with 3 Blue Alliance robots trying to hang.
Yep, and we have a trap from 2054, and 3538 went for the trap as well. I think they hit it. So this is a big advantage. Well, not really. Gems hit the trap on the other side. So what are we looking at? 2 hanging robots in blue, 2 traps. So hanging robots are 3 apiece, traps are 5 apiece. That's 16. 1684 is parked on the bottom. So I think we got 17 points for blue. Red's got 1 trap for 5, 3 hanging robots for 9. That's 14, and they have the buddy climb for 2 more, so that's 16. So 1 point different in the end game, but big end games for both sides.
So the scoring is going to be problematic and prolonged.
Yep. We are, essentially we're waiting now to see. Can they rebuild that score? And do they decide that not having the real-time scoring is fine and the match can stand? And that's what we're going to wait for here.
From an integrity issue, is there an extra piece of equipment or something standing by that they can just sub in, sub out?
So I think they're going to try to fix the one that's there. If that is absolutely impossible, there are spare components available. And just because we're at the state championship, we had 4 fields here. If we had to pull a whole goal out from a trailer to replace this one, we could do that as well. But I think they're gonna start with figuring out what the issue was, and make some adjustments there. We saw that our FTA was down there filming during the match and tracking everything that went through. So they should have a pretty good idea of what's going wrong. And also, they're not on their own. They can contact First Headquarters. They have a support person who they can contact, and it looks like they're bringing out the replacement.
So they're not messing around.
Yep. Sometimes if you're not 100% sure what needs to get fixed or something you can see is broken, instead of replacing that one component, sometimes taking a known good module and dropping the whole thing in is going to be faster.
Well, they'll address that. Let's go downstairs right now and join Kaylee.
Hey guys, I'm here with Bodie from the Red Alliance. Obviously something is going on with the score. What were you guys thinking when you saw that those points were being tallied?
Yeah, for sure. So we're in the driver's station that's right next to the speaker. So we looked over and we see a huge mound, pile of notes sitting next to us, and we just kind of, the pressure's off. We really thought they were going to abort the match because they usually do that under field fault conditions, but they didn't decide to do that, so we just kind of went through the rest of the match, played it safe, tried not to break anything. Pressure's off, just going for try to play the rest of the match, basically.
So flying blind basically actually took kind of some of the pressure off of you.
For sure, yeah, because we know that this is not something that's under our control. There's nothing we can really do about it. Sure. So we were just kind of flying blind, watching our score sit at 16
Go
points.
Up maybe 1 point every 5 minutes? Okay.
Right.
Well, hopefully we can get this thing figured out, and good luck.
Yeah, for sure.
Forward.
Thank you very much.
Dan and Dan.
Thanks, Kaylee. Yeah, the issue is with the red speaker. So they're counting the notes in there.
Oh, everybody's hanging out now.
Yeah.
That's Jacob joining them. We saw Jacob 2 weeks ago at Troy.
You know what I'm going to say, don't you?
You can see too. But I'm gonna cut you off before we get to that. Look at those notes. Those were supposed to have moved through this feeder and be counted. So when you see whatever 16 points on the scoreboard, all of those notes were not counted. If those are 5-point notes, I mean, there's 80 points there easy, maybe more.
Well,
so the question is for us as they go ahead and get this replaced. They're going to get it fixed. It's going to work. We're going to have matches. The question is, were they able to manually score this match, and are they going to keep that score, or are we just replaying all of round 2 here?
so we already have one match that's going to be replayed, and now we're on the cusp of moving into a 2 replay match, or
And that-
2 matches replayed.
The way that they handled those notes coming out, not carefully taking each one out and counting it, makes me think it's going to be a replay. And the other issue is sometimes it's not just about counting the number of notes that are there, that are scored. You have to know whether they were a 2-point score or a 5-point score, which means was it in auto mode for 5 points, was it amplified for 5 points, or was it just scored for 2 points? So it sounds like and looks like we're going to have a replay for this match as well. But this is what I was saying, right? Because they have this whole module, I think it's like 4 bolts here to put this in and 4 bolts to take it out. So a lot of times it's easier to just swap a known working module in.
All right, well, we're going to hold off on posting any scores because this match will be replayed. So a troubling trend arises.
Yeah, I do think it should be sorted now. After we got these kind of close-up shots, I would say that replacing it makes even more sense because the notes weren't feeding through. That's a mechanical issue. I would say, like, if a motor wasn't spinning, if a sensor wasn't reading, well, okay, then you can recalibrate it, maybe swap the sensor. But when they're jamming like that, it could be any of a number of minor, small, geometries where it's supposed to be able to grab and it's not grabbing. So putting the brand new unit in will solve everything.
Let's swing downstairs and talk with Kaylee. She's got some insight for us.
Hey guys, yeah, just kind of talking through what I'm seeing right here. We got a couple members of the FTA here working. I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. There's screwdrivers going, there's bolts being put in, there's zip ties being fastened. Just trying. This new appliance was put in, I would say, about 2 minutes ago, and now they're trying to just put the final touches on it. You can see they're definitely in a hurry to get this redone. Dan, like you said, I don't know if this is going to be a rematch or not. I don't know if they're going to have to test this before they go into the new. I would imagine they're going to have to test this before they go into the other match. Right now, they're just kind of working frantically to get it to work. But I'll keep an eye on things down here.
Yeah, they're gonna test this. You can actually tell too because there is a pile of rings sitting in front of that speaker. So once they have it up and running, they'll go ahead and power it up, and they're gonna probably throw those in by hand just to make sure they don't get stuck and they make their way through. But since we have some extra time, we got some fun stats.
All right,
so
have at it.
A couple things we always want to watch. So the first thing is amplified notes are key, right? Because there were 5 points instead of 2. How well you play your amplification periods are one of the most important things. After the first round of matches, so one match of a team, so obviously can't read too deeply into these numbers, but Hemlock had 15 notes scored while amplified. So they scored 15 times in the amplified speaker. Consumers only 7, Aptive 8, and DTE only 2. So DTE, again, we talked about them. They had the down robot. The other robot may be having issues, so we expect that number to be very low. The other key differentiating spot is autonomous mode. So we'll look at autonomous modes. Hemlock scored 6 in auto. Consumers only scored 4, actually. In that match, 1684 missed a lot of those close, easy shots. So they'll have to get that worked out. Aptive scored 6, and DTE scored 7. So auto mode pretty even, except for some misses by 1684. But as we go through our second round now, and because of those replays, they've played each other once already, which means they know exactly what the other team's auto mode is going to be, which means if they lost the race to the center ring, they might change their auto mode to go for a different one. So we're going to have to keep an eye on, it's kind of like autonomous chicken, like do you stay the same or do you change? And if you change, does the other person, there's some like game theory going on here. But chances are, if you were the one who won the race to the ring, you'll leave it the same. If you lost the race, you'll go for a different one first, so you can at least get, at least half those nodes from the middle.
So we are going to replay 2 matches, matches 3 and 4, but first, that monstrosity of I say that in a nice way, and that machine will have to be tested and fully vetted before we can re-engage.
If that's not like the best mannerism there, best expression, tipping your head back like that. We got a thumbs up though.
No,
that outweighs it,
okay.
right?
Should have said he's waving at somebody.
So
this is where it's really good, where Kaylee knows how to like read body English and language like that.
Yep. So they did just power it up. It looked like it was spinning correctly. So at some point now they're going to power it up again. And yeah, we got those our field reset crew here loading up on notes. They're going to start chucking them through the speaker to make sure it's working.
So this is the test.
This is the test. Yep.
Now they can't go too fast, or else. Because they have to kind of recreate it at game speed, right?
Yeah. So, like, you might get 3 at a time, but you wouldn't get 8 at a time.
Right, okay.
But you can see that's a jam. That's not great, but that's not the same jam that we were seeing before. And that was when they kind of threw 3 or 4 in all on top of each other. So that is something that can happen. They'll probably keep an eye on that, but that looked promising. That looked like everything more or less fed through on its own. They're throwing them all in because they want to see a worst-case scenario here.
Right.
Looks like we might get one more test run. Looks pretty good. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Uh-oh.
It's
interesting.
Well.
So there is the possibility that those ones that were stuck, they fed out under their own power. There is the possibility that the motor turned off. So when they're doing this test mode, it runs for a certain amount of time, or the person at the scoring table can turn it off. So they might have turned it off before those last ones fell through. So the fact that they're now putting the box back, getting ready to go for the match, I think that's what happened. If it were jammed and they didn't know why, they would definitely be doing at least one more test. But they're buttoning it back up.
And they're smiling.
Yeah.
That's important.
Smile means it's either good or really, really bad.
Okay. So the motor was turned off.
Yeah, that's my guess.
And that's confirmed. Is this advantageous to the 2 alliances in any way? Or is it just an annoyance?
So there's a couple things. This first matchup, right, features that 7660 robot that plays defense. Kind of the first time you go up against it, it's that Mike Tyson line, right? You have a plan. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth,
hit,
right? Yeah. So they were able to take that first hit and now have a chance to go back and rethink their plans. So we saw like 27, for example, being held up a long time against that defense. And we heard in that interview that alliance does have some counter plans for that. But getting a dry run through and being able to experience it firsthand is maybe going to help them a little bit. It might not be as much of a surprise. And then the other big difference is autonomous mode, right? Like, if you're losing the race to the autonomous mode rings and you have a different autonomous mode that you can switch to, that's sort of like a very nice bonus for you.
We're going to take a timeout here at Saginaw Valley State. We'll have more robotics when we continue.
We are working with the Girls in Engineering Academy for the Engineering Society of Detroit.
The Girls in Engineering Academy is designed to excite and engage middle school girls in STEM education.
Girls Engineering is a very, very fun thing to do because you will learn a lot in a fun way.
That's how we're going to bring the next generation of engineers in and inspire them.
Not a lot of women are in engineering, and it's important to have this representation and this chance.
I love being involved in these kinds of programs, and I'm very happy that DTE supports them.
We're at Saginaw Valley State University. We're going to replay a couple of matches at the Ryder Center here. The Michigan State Robotics Championship. Dan Katowski along with Dan Kimura. We're high up. Kaylee Marin. Ted is down low in the pits. And let's revisit our bracket since things have kind of reset and rewind a little bit.
Yep, so nothing changed since the last time we looked at it. We played 2 matches. They were just for fun. Again, we're going to be seeing our Aptiv versus Hemlock Semiconductor here. They are the upper bracket match, which means the loser of this match is not out. They're just going to fall down to the lower bracket.
So we hope we've resolved the technical issue that involved the equipment on the field, the amp zone. Sorry, the speaker. And away we go, not the amp zone.
So let's watch.
Autonomous and good starts. Watch that speaker to make sure it's generating points correctly. Seems like it's working.
Ooh, yep, and Blue cleaning up. Couple misses though, they got extra shots. So small lead because of those couple misses.
Good job there for the Blue Alliance.
Again, 27 getting kind of shut out. They have not picked up a note since drivers took control. 7660 met them on one side, met them on the other side, met them in the middle of the stage now. And finally they get in. So this is 25 seconds into the match before they get their first reload.
Still lots of time and still very close. So we see the Wings of Fire machine working effectively and efficiently.
And they just 27 can't find a path through. They need to work together with their teammates here to get free. You know, finally they get in, but then 51 gets blocked up, and because they're kind of jamming everybody together, they're getting in each other's way too. 51 and 57-12, they're both trying to load at the same time. So great defense, but they're still behind. Blue's amplified here, so they're going to jump out to a little bit of a bigger lead. Red used their amplification a little bit ago, working on getting their next one ready.
And the Hemlock robot EOS trying to generate some points and running into some defense on the other end.
Yep, Hemlock being held off, then switching. That time they got around 27. Good move that time. They took advantage of the distraction, got in quick and out quick.
Yeah, this is very impressive. Very impressive scoring, really, by both of these teams. There's the new machine still running effectively.
Yep, nothing's jammed up in there, so that's good. $76.60, and they're doing a good job, too, of getting out of their partners' ways. They're being driven very, very well, but the score is still Blue favored. So we need 36.04 and 2.26 here to find some extra offense in the last few seconds of this match.
Yeah, both teams at or pushing 100. We'll see if there's some hanging points for the Red Alliance. Probably not enough to make a difference. That is a good showing by the Blue Alliance.
Yep, if anything, Blue's got 3 robots up and hanging, so that's going to be 9 points. They do have the 1 human player thrown ring for a bonus point there. So I think we're looking at 10 points for Blue, only 1 hanging on Red. So I think Red's only getting 5. So that's going to be a 5-point swing for Blue. Blue ahead on the scoreboard at the end of the match as well.
And again, we said getting almost to 100 points is not a guarantee of anything.
Especially, you know, for this match, right? Because 76-60 playing defense means Hemlock's score should come down. But also it means that, you know, our Aptiv division playing only 2 on offense, so their scores have always been a little bit lower.
Well, the good news is the mechanical issue with that speaker is in our rearview mirror. So again, this is round 2, a replay of match 3 that we just saw. And we'll have the in-house announcement. As they finish tallying the points. And they're going to bring everything up, and we have a Blue Alliance win. And an impressive win at that. So we'll figure out the details on the scoring, but here's our autonomous mode split screen.
27 kind of missing that one, but then that was their only miss, and they get out, they get another one, and then they do this sneaky one last. They leave that one in the middle to the very end, and they do get that shot off on time.
Let's flip to the red side and see how the Red Alliance started. Not a bad start.
Nope, but I think that one note that 226 picked up on the middle is the only extra note they're going to get. So I think Red was 100% with their shots, but took 3 less shots than Blue, just because they got out-raced to those notes on the middle.
Let's go downstairs to Kaylee Mirantet.
I have Anna with me again. Anna, obviously another high-scoring game for you guys. What did you think about the performance of this game?
I think we went out there and had fun, and that's what it successfully played off. This time, all 3 bots were working, thankfully. The last time we played, Wings of Fire had a note stuck in them almost the entire duration of the match, and we even went up to the ref and questioned if we could put in our backup bot. Sadly, we were not able to, but thankfully Wings of Fire were fixed on time, and so we were able to perform the best we could as a full alliance.
Having to come into a rematch, how do you get your mindset right? You know, you're like, oh, we won, and then you have to reset and go, okay, wait, we have to do this again.
Well, yeah, it kind of stinks, doesn't it? Like, you turn around, you're excited, and then it's like, it humbles you, though. And I think, like, that's really important, like, staying grounded. Like, we don't want to get too hyped up or let the nerves get the best of us, and I think it's almost kind of what we need, you know?
Sure. That's a good way to look at it. All right, thank you, Anna. Dan and Dan?
Kaylee, thank you. And here's our results. 128 for the Blue Alliance. They are moving into the finals.
Yeah, and I think, you know, looking at compared to the replay, that 128 is back up in line with their other scores. I think they figured out a way to deal with the defense a lot better the second time through. 99 is a good score from our Aptive Division 4, playing 2 on offense, 1 on defense. But looks like the autonomous mode and then the just enough speaker play, amplified speaker play, and 7 penalty points.
If you're the Red Alliance, I mean, you don't have to feel bad with 99 points, right?
And it's 99 points with a dedicated defender, right?
Yeah.
So it's not bad. They still have a good shot at coming back. That was the winners bracket finals. So it means Aptive has another chance now in the lower bracket.
And so another replay is looming. One more robot is yet to be placed and secured.
Yep, and this is an elimination match. If you lose this one, you are out.
So a little bit of a mechanical setback. Fortunately, not one of the teams that was struggling with the robot on the field, but more the game site. And the speaker has been replaced and is functioning 100%. So we are rebooting a radio.
Yep, it happens occasionally. The radio will not link to the field, and a lot of times the only thing you can do with it is to reboot it. So we can see in there, it's on the boot up process with the flashing lights. We're going to see a green light on the side next, When that green light comes on, it's done booting up. Take a little bit more time then to finish connecting to the field. All told, it should be about a minute from when they gave it power.
And I'm gonna guess, Dan, that most teams don't do any radical changes of strategy, even if they are, replaying a match.
Yeah, so the match replay and the finals are the times where you might see it a little bit more. With this double elimination format where you play one match and then you don't see that alliance again until later, it's harder to make those strategic adjustments on the fly unless something major is going wrong. So in this match, we talked a little bit about it. I think the only thing we might see is if you lost the race to the rings in the middle, you might change your auto mode if you have another one available to go for a different note first. And I'm told as well, if you want a team to blame, 35-38 has been a part of a replay here on Fimstein every time they've been here, which I think this is their third time.
Okay, so they were resetting a radio on the field.
Yeah, it does look like it's connected now, so as soon as everything is double checked, we should be ready to get started on this match.
So we're getting thumbs up on the field. And we will turn these machines loose into autonomous and see what kind of splash they can make in the first 15 seconds.
One missed one. Remember, 1684 did not take the extra shots, and that was why this alliance was looking lower, and it looks like it's not fixed. So I think they have one still in the robot, not fired out, and then they weren't able to pick that last one up. So a 10-point lead for Red, which is big.
Yeah, the Tech Vikes robot doing very well right now for the Red Alliance.
Gem's doing a little bit of passing here. Launched one forward for 6081. And a smart move by 3538. This is the danger. If you leave a note on the floor, it can be very good for you. But 3538 just came over and stole one that Red was saving for later. And those passes, you see these rings just kind of flying onto the screen here. Those are passes from 3538, and they're very good at getting those to land just about exactly on where on the field they want them. Meanwhile, 4362 stopped moving for a little bit. They're back up again now, so keep an eye on them. But they did lose out for a second.
Yeah, the 1684, the Chimera's machine from up here with a pretty good showing right now.
It looks like they had a note stuck. They couldn't get rid of it. They were finally able to drop it off. We'll have to keep an eye on them. They did not shoot the extra in auto mode. Yeah, so 1684, what they're doing right now, their shooter, I think, is broken. They're actually ferrying rings to 2054.
I was going to say, what's that about?
Yep, so they're trying to drag it across the field and pass it off. And 2054 is just playing a pure striker role here. So it's almost like we have a defender in 3538 or a backfield player. We got a midfielder in 1684, and 2054 is just staying up front and trying to finish.
That's pretty good improvising, kind of, ad-libbing, so to speak.
Yeah,
so now we'll see who goes to the stage here. Amplified points for both the Red and Blue Alliance. Two teams are going to clear 100 points, no problem.
Yep. One late shot by 4362 was in time. Question now is, are we going to get traps?
Well, they're going to try and make a splash.
Two traps for Blue.
Yeah, Red Alliance, looks like they got two.
And the Red Alliance, so 4362 did not climb, did not get a trap. So Blue Alliance, 3 hanging robots, 3 points apiece. That's 9. 2 traps, that's 10 points. There's 19 points for Blue here. Red, 3 hanging robots, 3 points apiece, and then the climbing on the same chain, so you get your friend bonus there for 2 more points. That's only 11, so a 9-point edge for Blue in the end game. And the score on the scoreboard when we hit the end of the match was 105-96, a 9-point lead for red, which means if there are no extra penalties, we have a tie score.
Ooh. That's not our favorite word, is it?
But a tie score does not mean a tie match. There are tiebreakers. The first of which is whoever got the least penalty points. So even if it is tied, we would still have a winner. There is a good chance that some small score adjustment will happen before we see the scores here, right? One penalty that wasn't called or wasn't put in time, one extra penalty that's removed, maybe even one note that scored very late or did not score correctly. So we'll just have to wait and see. But very close match.
Let's jump into some replays. Red Alliance doing some good scoring early. Rings falling everywhere.
Yep, that was 35-38. You saw them just poach that ring. That was a red ring being saved for later. They saw it, and they just went right over there and took it when it was open. And here's 20-54. That miss, not great. 2 misses in a row. They need to be a little bit more efficient, right? They are the offensive striker here. They are the finisher. And yeah, you know, that's tough. And here's what happened. 60-81 came in and stole one of the rings because they were messing. If they had hit all their shots, that ring's gone before 60-81 gets there.
Margin of error shrinking every weekend, every match. You know, if you advance, you're playing tougher competition, and those mistakes can be exaggerated. You know, we've noticed a lot of unusual headgear. What about the Abe Lincoln hats they got going there?
You know,
is that Abe Lincoln? I mean, who else? Yeah, right. Okay. Red Alliance posting a win. Oh man, this has to be a high for best combined score between two alliances.
It might be here at the state championship. I don't think it is the high for the world yet.
Boy, to get a 115 and be in second, finish second, not good.
Yeah, for sure. So a 4-point win for the Red Alliance here of DTE Energy.
But look at the state. Well, anyway, we'll break down the points. Let's go downstairs with Kaylee first.
Hey guys, Bodie is here with me from the Red Alliance. Bodie, how are you feeling after that one?
After that match, we're feeling pretty good. We did end up getting the win off of that field damage tech foul. We got a lucky break there. We're going to get our alliance up to full power for next match, hopefully, though. 43-62, the Gems that match. They had a note stuck in their robot for a majority of the match, and they were disconnected for a couple seconds during the match as well. So we were down on the shooting power quite a bit, as well as that amplification power. So you saw a lot of our notes were going to the speaker unamplified, and obviously we can't have that if we want to go all the way. So we are going to be tuning in our strategy and hopefully getting our alliance's robots up to tip-top shape so we can put even more than the 29 notes we put up in total this match. So
is there anything that you guys changed throughout the day that you think you accomplished in this match?
I think the biggest thing that we changed is just letting our alliance mates do what they do best. We're not trying to push any crazy strategy as far as feeding or anything goes. We're just letting our robots do what they do best and move across the field in the dance that we talked about earlier, and as fast as humanly possible. So
yeah, just kind of trusting the process here.
For sure, yeah, trust the process.
All right, well, thank you so much. Dan and Dan, back upstairs.
All right, thank you, Kaylee. Well, we knew that the teams and the machines that we saw today were high level. And this is high level stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess, you know, that's a 119. We did mention the Gems losing connection there for a bit. Missed some of that jam note. So I don't know how long that was the case for, but I mean, still 119 with a robot that was not 100%. I'm not going to say they were 50% or anything that low, but there is definitely some room for them to take those scores a little bit higher. DTE, by the way, in their divisional playoff matches, was able to put up a 138. So we saw 119 here. Again, maybe, yeah, if it was a fully functional Gems robot, we might have seen a couple more scores.
Let's do a reconnect with one of the great sponsors here, Sean Johnson from DTE Consumers Energy, and they have been a longtime supporter here of Michigan First Robotics.
Hey guys, I'm joined by Sean Johnson with Consumers Energy. Sean, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Not the first time we've been here talking together. I know you've been here for a few years.
Yeah. This is actually like one of my favorite days of the entire year.
Same here. Yeah, I look forward to this just as much as you do. So you're with Consumers Energy. Tell me about your role.
Yep, I'm Senior Vice President and General Counsel. So a little different than a lot of the other people here. I'm not a STEM guy. I'm a lawyer, but
very different.
Yeah, but because this is so important to Consumers Energy and our future talent pipeline, and just because, well, a couple of things. Because I get so inspired by all these kids that are out here, and I happen to be an alumni of Saginaw Valley, which is why I wear the hat.
Right up your alley.
Yeah, so today's amazing. It's good stuff.
This is like Super Bowl day.
That's right.
Talk about, so Consumers Energy is a sponsor
Yes.
with First. Talk about why you guys keep coming back and think the support is important.
Yeah, so we've been a sponsor of this for 10 years. This is our 10th year now, almost $2 million in funding, but we sponsor in a lot of other ways too. We have several of our coworkers that are mentors or coaches for these teams that are out here. We provide equipment to many different teams. We're actually sponsors of lots of different teams that are out there. And we just view it as an investment in our future. We've been innovators as a company since the late 1800s. Technology continues to change, and these are the folks that are going to have the new inventions and the new innovations in the future. And it's just it's a great investment in our future to help them out. It's just so awesome to watch. And I don't know if you get a chance to watch some of this competition, but we focus a lot on the talent of the kids that are out there on the STEM side, but also just the teamwork that's required to get this done. This is just setting everybody up for their future.
Oh, absolutely. And no matter what field they go into, no matter what business you go into, these are core value lessons that are being taught to these kids.
Teamwork, collaboration, and it's not all just STEM folks down there. I talked to someone this morning who was in charge of marketing to raise funds. We need those types of people too. So lots of different skill sets.
Yeah. What would you want to tell students who want to get involved in Consumers Energy?
Continue to focus on those skills like teamwork, collaboration. We have lots of opportunity if you're interested in analytics or robotics or advanced technologies and digital. Continue to focus on those, and you don't always have to go into a 4-year university to do it either. You get this experience here. Yeah. We're always looking for people to work in all areas of our business.
What do you think Consumers Energy is doing different that sets you guys apart?
We have a very specific focus on those things that I just talked about, like the analytics and our digital and IT space, and allowing people to, in the field, explore and learn new things and focus on things that are going to really help us move forward in the future.
All right, sounds good. Any advice that you would give these students just in general as they go through this? I mean, you guys are 10-year sponsors. You've been here, done this before.
Make sure that you step back and just look at, you've done an amazing job. Sorry, I keep looking there instead of you, but I like watching the kids. You've done an amazing job getting here. Make sure you step back and enjoy the ride and enjoy the time you're going through right now. This is going to be some of the best times you have in your high school career, just building that team and having fun. And then, advice in the future, just continue to market those skills. You are getting skills that not many kids get by doing this.
No, definitely not. All right, Sean, thank you so much for joining us here today. Thanks for being sponsors again this year.
Yep.
Dan and Dan, we're going to send it back to you guys.
All right, Sean Johnson with Consumers Energy Foundation, the stories we love. Yes, we need volunteers, we need manpower that way, but when the corporate money flows in, and he's talking, almost $2 million or more in 10 years of sponsorship, that's a company that's all in, and Michigan First Robotics is so glad that they're a part of it.
Huge supporter.
All right, let's get our scores from last match. And we told you it was close. We told you there would be some big points scored. And there it is. Red Alliance squeaks out. Imagine scoring 119 points and still not being sure you were going to win.
Yeah, a couple things we want to look at here, though, is Red Alliance, 6 amp points, means they had 3 amplified periods, still outscored on the speaker, despite the fact that Blue had 8 amp points, which means they had an extra amplified period. Sometimes that amplified period, the bonus one, comes too late in the match to use it effectively. And the 19 stage points out of Blue is bigger than we've seen from anybody else. Unfortunately for Blue, 5 of those 7 penalty points came from damaging the field. So it turns out if your robot does something that causes field damage, they can give you a tech penalty for that. That's 5 points for the other team. So penalties actually ended up being even, but that is one that definitely could have been avoided and they would want back.
And the field damage is actually meaningful enough that they have to spend a little time getting that smoothed out.
Yeah, we saw the field crew out there. Sometimes they'll actually patch, like the carpet can get worn through, and we'll see them actually like cut out and patch in a new section of carpet. We also saw them measuring to make sure that they were replacing the tape line that if you cross in auto mode, you get points for. So we saw them, measuring that tape line as they were replacing it as well.
Not that they have an unlimited supply of carpeting, but do they use new carpeting every week?
Yep.
They do?
Yeah,
okay.
Every week is a new carpet, with a couple of exceptions. I think that there are 2 events that host back-to-back. Kettering does 2 in a row, and then Troy does 2 in a row. And I think the carpet is used for both weeks there. It is always pretty rough by the end of the second event. Unfortunately, nobody's come up with a good way to have 2 layers of carpet under and then just peel one up.
Oh, they're screwing up. They're mixing the speed of the Cupid shuffle, which is complicating things.
Got to keep them on their toes.
Yeah. Hopefully, Kaylee's keeping up with the Cupid shuffle down there. Oh no, don't put her on camera. Don't do that to her. We don't want to make that big of a deal about it. There they go, back in rhythm. Take a time out here at Saginaw Valley State University. More from the Riders Center when we continue. We're back inside the Riders Center on the campus of Saginaw Valley State University.
Yep, and the double elimination format has afforded us a rematch coming up next. So our next match is going to be once again DTE versus Aptiv. Fun twist to confuse everybody, though. They will be switching bumper colors. So in the first match, DTE was in red. Aptiv was in blue. This time, because Aptiv won the first matchup, they will now be the red side, and DTE will be blue. That has some small but potentially impactful changes.
In what way?
It means that they'll be playing on the other side of the field. We talked about this field, I think, a few weeks ago, but we haven't talked about it this week yet. This field is a mirror symmetry, not a rotational symmetry. That means if you start sort of like on there's a short side and a long side from the speaker, right? If you start on the long side of the field, you need to kind of back up and go to the right. If you do it on the other side, you need to back up and go to the left, which means they can't run the same auto mode that they ran in the first match. They have to actually run a different version of it that they wrote for the other color. So sometimes one side works better than the other. Sometimes there's no difference at all. So we're just going to have to wait and see if that has an impact here. Also a small thing, you know, the screen that we have here for the audience display where they see the real-time scoring is on one side of the field. So you're looking a different way. One side you kind of look over your shoulder. One side you have to look farther away, but it's in front of you. So that, you know, small differences that shouldn't decide a match, but you got to get comfortable in a new position.
Let's step back and look at the brackets. So we are moving on. And again, we had things a little bit slowed up because we had 2 different matches to replay.
Yep, so we're here in round 3, match 5.
Match 5.
This is the lower bracket finals, so the winner of this is in our best 2 out of 3 finals. And I will remind everybody, there are some versions of a double elimination tournament where if you're coming from the lower bracket, you have to win 2 times in the finals because technically the team coming from the upper bracket never lost and fell down to the lower bracket. We do not do that here. Once we get to the finals, slates are wiped clean. It is one best 2 out of 3 match for the champion. We'll also mention, we were talking about the autonomous, needing to have the other side autonomous available. This could be an advantage to DTE because remember, we are on the DTE field. So that alliance has been playing here all weekend, did their whole divisional tournament here, so they definitely have both sides auto modes worked out, whereas Aptiv just been over here and played 2 matches. And Aptiv already did switch though, so their first match they were blue, their second match they were red, so they have had a chance to run the red side auto mode. So probably not a big advantage either way here.
So the 226 machine, the Hammerheads from Troy High School, a little bit slow to return to the playing field.
Yep, something to keep an eye on. They're here though, they're on. So well in time before any of those penalties we talked about earlier. Which could, if you're late enough, they could just say you don't get to play and it's a 2v3 match.
Which is never anyone's strategy.
Yeah.
To be clear. So let's do our matchups. As 226 is part of the Red Alliance. So Aptiv has Father Gabriel Richard, Troy and Woodhaven, and the Blue Alliance DTE Foundation, Manchester, Cheryl Stockwell Academy in Belleville.
Right, so let's go back to the very first match we watched here on our Final Four. It was these 2 alliances matching up, right? We learned almost nothing from that match because fairly early in that match, 66-15 and 76-60 collided. The impact was enough, or the current draw was enough to shut both of their robots off. So they didn't play for most of the match, and we know that 43-62, the Gems had some jamming issues, was not able to play at the level that they're normally able to play at. Now, the Gems in the last match also got jammed for a little bit and had a small connection issue. So the Gems have not had a clean match yet in these Final Four Fimstein matches. So that's something we need to keep an eye on. In the second match, though, Alliance 1 came back from that 61 points in the first match and put up 119. So they are, back and able to put up those big scores, but now they're going to have to face the defense again.
So we are set to roll into this 3rd round, match 5. One team, like we get a thumbs up.
Yep, everybody looks good down there.
we start in autonomous.
All makes so far. 226 gets an extra one. 4362 gets an extra one. 4362 just so fast that center line, right? They got 2 bonus ones. Everybody else only got 1. 6081, I think, has 1 left that they weren't able to pull the trigger on. So they'll get that in the amp here.
Great autonomous period for Blue. Red Alliance has some work to do.
Yep, and it was high accuracy from both sides, but Blue got extra shots off, and that, you know, it matters when you're making them all.
So a little bit of a challenge for that 6061 robot.
Yep, see defense on the gems now, 7660, still trying to play that defense. The gems are kind of being shut down. It is opening the door for their 2 partners to run undefended here. And another issue with playing defense, when you are behind, defense is not always as effective as when you play from ahead.
Oh, big hit in the middle.
Looks like both robots survived that one. I think 6081 did a better job of recovering from it, though. They moved faster, although their note seems jammed. So I take that back. They're just trying to dump it off now. Oh, it's stuck. Note is stuck on 6081's. I think that is the device to help them score in the amp. If they can't get that ring off the robot, they cannot go pick up another one. So they might be done. They might need to shift to defense if they can't get that off. And it looks like that is what they're going to do.
Still plenty of time, though, but Red Alliance is going to have to maybe push the pedal to the metal just a bit.
Yep, 4362 is still getting shut down by 7660. And that is a big deal now that they lost another offensive robot. So they are riding basically on that autonomous mode lead. They're just clinging to those points they got in autonomous mode. And this is smart. 6081 has switched to counter defense. They are now playing defense on the defender instead of trying to defend other robots. And it does look like that helped.
Missed shot there by the Hammerheads.
Amplification period for Red is, can they get this last? No, shot low by 226. That shot would have been huge, would have almost tied the game.
Now they're off to...
4362 is not moving.
They're in the stage zone, and only 2 Red Alliances and 2 Blue Alliance hanging robots.
4362 lost connection to the field at the end of that match. So they were not able to score the last ring that they picked up or their hang. A lot of times they go for the hang in the trap, so that's potentially 8 points that they're not getting there. Meanwhile, 2 red robots hanging, 1 is parked for 7 bonus points. And Blue, I think we had 1 hanging, 1 touching the ground, but the second robot might have been up. So we're gonna see either 4 points there or 6 points. Blue's gonna get a few extra points, or Red's gonna get a few extra points. But Blue, DTE Energy, did have the lead going into that endgame.
Our total points may drop off just a little bit from what we had in the last match.
Yeah, but we did see a pretty big jump in score for DTE Energy and Blue towards the end of that match. And one of the things that might have happened was, I think there was contact at the Blue, essentially their stage where they're going to climb. If you get hit there in the last 20 seconds, it is a foul. Sometimes it is also a free climb, depending on the situation there. So I think some of those points that we saw for Blue at the very end of that match might be penalty points. We're going to have to wait for the breakdown, though, to know for sure.
Lots to unpack here as we are in our final stretch here at Saginaw Valley State on this final Saturday of competition.
Yep. Reminder, loser of this match is eliminated. Winner is in our finals. And we can see discussion at the scoring table is between the head ref and the scoring table. So that usually means it's going to be penalty related is what they're discussing. If it were scoring adjustment, you would probably see some of the field crew there because they would have been the ones to catch the issue potentially. So we might see some penalties here, and that might just be clarification of what those penalties were.
And will those penalty points be a factor when things are settled? It will not impact Blue Alliance. They are winners. 96-81.
Yep, 96 is not a great score for this alliance, but 76-60, it has to be said, was playing monster defense the entire event. So they're going to drop out as a third place team here, along with 226, 3604.
And we thought that the penalty points would be meaningful.
Yes, we did.
And let's go downstairs and check in with Kaylee.
Hey guys, I have Bodie here from the Blue Alliance. Obviously happy with that win right now. You guys are moving on. I did notice that you guys had a note stuck on one of your bots. How did you handle that?
Yeah, for sure. So going into this match, we knew that if we had 3 robots operational, that we were pretty sure that we could take down this alliance. And a big part of this match was the fact that we got a note stuck on a robot, like you said. It took us a minute to kind of figure out what was going on, but once we realized that it was stuck and there was nothing we could do to get it out, our main focus was actually to shut down their defense bot, to defense their defense, and let Gems do what they need to do, and let the Bell Villains do what they need to do, and let them run up the score for us. You saw we did have 17 penalty points in that match, but a lot of that was strategic, so we can manipulate the Biting Irish and manipulate the robots into zones, our zones and their zones, to hopefully try and bait those penalty points and do the most scoring we can without a scoring mechanism. But hopefully going into the next match, we're going to get that note stuck issue figured out, get the Gems running super fast, get the Bell Villains running super fast, get up running super fast, so we can get those 130 scores that we're really hoping for.
Were you expecting that kind of defense from the other alliance?
Judging by the last match we played against them, we were definitely expecting it, and so we did do some strategy changes related to that. We told everyone to just stick to their guns, stick to their paths, don't try and go around them, just let the other 2 teams flow as well as they can, even under the defense. So.
All right, well, congratulations on that win. Thank you so much. Dan and Dan, back to you guys.
Kaylee, thank you. There's our point total. Interesting to hear him explain the strategy with the penalty point factor.
Yeah, no, I mean, look at this. 17 penalty points absolutely changed the outcome of this match. No penalty points, Red wins and is moving on. What he was trying to say is once they switch to defending 76-60, there is a protected zone where you load the notes in. And just by them being in that area, they sort of had to force 76-60 away. We also saw 2 penalties at the end if you hit the stage in the last 20 seconds of the match. That's 5-point tech foul apiece, so that's 10 of it. And then I think it was also an illegal contact. You can't hit you basically have to have bumper-to-bumper contact. If you're hitting somebody inside their frame, that'll be a tech foul as well. So there was one of those. That's 15 points in penalties, plus a regular foul somewhere for 2 more points. And that is not a good way to lose.
He talked about playing defense on their defense, and here's what that looks like.
Yep, so first you see 76-60 here just absolutely shutting down 43-62. They scored so few notes this match.
And then we have the stuck ring for blue.
Yep, and this is an interesting point. So here, they messed around with that for a little bit longer than I would have liked to see. You give it a couple tries to get it free. Maybe bring the robot over closer to you like this so you can see what's going on. And if you cannot get that thing to come free, you need to immediately find something else to be useful at. And this is where they made that decision. They tucked it up, and then they start heading across the field to play defense instead. And they went right on 76-60. Instead of trying to slow down the scorers, they just basically pinned the robot that was trying to get in their way, 76-60, and that opened the path for 43-62.
So a strategy a little bit unusual, but at this stage of the game, you got to be a little creative.
Yeah, we're seeing, especially with this game, wide open field. If you crash into things like the stage or other robots, there's going to be damage. There are going to be robots that will turn off. And you need to be able to think on your feet. If you can't keep scoring, if you spend the rest of the match struggling to score, struggling to get that note free, I think you lose that match. But as soon as they realized it, they went to play defense. They helped their teammates get free so they could score more. And they were also in good positions to try to draw penalties. And that, completely made the difference. So smart play, smart adjustment during the match.
So let's take a visit from another one of our sponsors. This is Marco Rodriguez Martinez.
Hey guys, I'm here with Marcos Rodriguez with Hemlock Semiconductor. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. How are you, Kelly?
I'm doing all right. So first of all, tell me what Hemlock Semiconductor does. Who are you guys?
Well, Hemlock Semiconductor is one of the only producers in the U.S., one of 5 in the world, that produce polysilicon. This is one of the foundation for building electronics around the world and solar panels. So we are on the one of them being first materials that we need. Now, one of the coolest thing about this is our product is 99.9999999% pure. That's the purest man-made material in the world.
Wow.
And it's required to be that pure because it goes into all these chips that eventually power and help the electronics. Likely the phone that you use now has HEC polysilicon.
Very cool. So this is your guys' first year being a sponsor.
Correct.
Why did you guys decide to do that?
Well, when you think about the future, obviously there is investments, there is opportunities for growth, but you cannot do that just by finding a location. You have to find all the engineers, all the leaders that are going to take that project into a completion and be successful. So investment is the key. Investment on the students in the area, developing the community to help that growth become reality.
So you have a close tie to some of the students. Tell me about your daughter's involvement.
I do. 3 years ago, my daughter started it was invited to the high school robotics program. One of the first things that they ask the students is, hey, what did your dad do for a living? And the answer is, well, he does some kind of technical thing. Well, then you're automatically hooked. That's what happened to me. So my 2 daughters, one is now a senior in high school. By the way, she's competing on the Hemlock Semiconductor field. She is the driver of the team. And then the second youngest daughter, she is only a middle schooler, but she's also in the program. So following them, just every competition, every match, being there from the die side of thing, from the mentor side of thing as well, is super exciting. And then on top of that, that we are the sponsor this year.
Yep.
Is super amazing. It's a great environment.
What would you want to tell students who might want to get involved with Hemlock in the future?
Pretty great question. So one of the programs that Hemlock Semiconductor has for the students living in the Bay Area, we have a program that we developed with Michigan Tech. And this program allows the students from the region to go for the summer for a week, and they get to try different engineering disciplines.
Wow.
It's an awesome program. Everything is paid, even the transportation. And this is a great opportunity for them to try different things before they commit into going into a specific engineering discipline. We have also programs for apprenticeship where they can come in and, again, learn different activities throughout the plant, different jobs. So it's a lot of commitment.
The summer program, I think that's really cool. Do students just apply for that? How would they get involved?
There is an application. You can go to our webpage, and there is information on there you can find for that application. Obviously, you go through the process, and then you get notified. You go to have fun in the summer at Michigan Tech.
How important do you think the relationship is between you? Obviously, first you're sponsoring. How important do you think this relationship is between Hemlock and First?
Some of the core values of First is what we live at HEC every day. The commitment to teamwork, excellence, customer focus. All those skills are not just something that you learn overnight. You have to develop when the students are young. And First offers that opportunity. You are given a challenge. You are given a set amount of time to develop a solution to that problem. So through that process, not only do you have fun, not only you build a robot that can compete and do the game, but you learn engineering skills, you learn the value of planning, executing, and again, having some more fun on the way. But also some soft skills. Being a leader, being a good communicator, sometimes just breaking that fear of talking in front of the public.
Sure.
But those are what the complement of the technical aspect is that you end up using in the workforce. With HSE, I'm a project manager, so I'm in charge of budgets and timelines and tasks being done. And it's not different from a first program. Again, you have only 6 weeks to complete that robot to get to the point where you can compete. You have not enough resources, time, money, and you have to overcome all those challenges. So it's a great compliment. You get to practice in a high school setup and just get ready for then apply that into workforce.
Into the real world. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you so much.
Good luck to your daughters, and thank you for being one of our sponsors.
Thank you.
Dan and Dan?
All right, thank you, Kaylee, and thanks to Marco, who's, again, another new addition to the always growing family.
Yep. Big sponsor here, right? Because they are one of our field sponsors this year. I think first year for them doing that. So we had a brand new field, which took us some practice, learning the new name.
What are the different levels of? Are there different levels, like tiered levels of sponsorship, or is that just kind of left wide open to whatever that company wants to do?
I don't know that there's like a gold, silver, platinum level. I know First International does have that. So the headquarters in Manchester does have that. But at First in Michigan, I don't know if they have tiers like that. But we have a lot of here at the event. We have field sponsors. So they obviously get a lot of exposure that way. Every time we talk about what our Hemlock Semiconductor versus DTE Foundation matchup here in the finals, there are a lot of the district events as well that are sponsored by companies. So that a lot of times makes more sense if you're kind of a smaller, more regional company and you want to get your name out, but to the people in that area of the state. And then we have this slideshow that goes on the screens here, also goes on the webcast a lot, where you'll see a whole bunch of different sponsors that are all either supplying stuff for First or sponsoring First in Michigan.
We'll step aside and continue as we have more coverage here from DTE Foundation Field at Saginaw Valley State.
How do you explain to your children the difference that you make in the world? Here's how we do it. It starts with a dream of a safer, greener, and more connected future. We find the toughest challenges in mobility, and we bring together teams of innovators from around the globe to solve them. And then we design, we build, we test, and we design and build and test again. And again, and again. Each time making our products even better. The best part is, those products become part of the vehicles that we all drive. They connect us in new ways. They help reduce our impact on the environment. And they help save lives. We make change. We make a difference. We welcome all dreamers, innovators, and change makers to join us.
We're leading the energy transition in Michigan and creating opportunities for our youth to help us get there, like the environmental fellowship programs we support.
The overall mission of the Huron River Watershed Council is to allow interns and volunteers to be able to contribute to water improvement projects for the Huron River. I became a fellow with HRWC. I think the program is super important for not only organizations such as HRWC, but for young professionals like myself, who look like me, who come from where I come from. A lot of the work that I did with the fellowship and that I'm continuing to do now in my career pushed me in the right direction. So I'm definitely excited for what the future holds.
We know it takes all of us working together to create meaningful, lasting change. Thank you for joining us on our journey, collaborating towards a better tomorrow. Together, we will continue to be best for the world.
We are back here at Saginaw Valley State University inside the Riders Center. And the big finish is coming right now as we move into our finals. Best 2 of 3 matches. And here's our matchups. Teams that have certainly earned their place at the championship table. The Blue Alliance consisting of Manchester, Sherrill Stockwell Academy, and Belleville. And the Red Alliance is Hemlock, Clarkston, and Pontiac.
Yep, so a little bit of history on our Hemlock Alliance, who will be wearing the red bumpers. 27, 3-time Michigan State champion. They won in 14, 2016, and 2022. 43-62 on the other side of the field in blue with DTE Foundation. They won in 19. And then we got a little bit of a weird one. Team 51 is actually a combination of 2 teams. So Team 51 is Wings of Fire out of Pontiac, Michigan. And they were created when the 2 Pontiac schools consolidated into one. So there were actually 2 giant robotics programs in Pontiac. One was Team 47. That was Chief Delphi out of Pontiac Central. The other one was 65, I think it was Husky Brigade out of Pontiac Northern. So these were 2 massive programs at the time. Got consolidated down into one school. They became Team 51. And 65, one of the 2 teams that would become 51, won a state championship all the way back in 2009. So 51 does get credit for that as well.
Are there any growing pains when you have a situation like that where you got kind of 2 separate teams that now become a super team?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times it goes the other way. We'll have community teams sometimes where there are 4 or 5 different schools all represented by one team. And when those teams grow big enough, sometimes one of the schools will split off. And that's a little bit tougher because then your resources get spread out a little bit. But I think it was unprecedented to have 2 teams of that stature combined into one team. I mean, these are at the time, 47 through the kind of late 90s, early 2000s was one of the biggest names in the whole competition. 65 had a world championship in 2003. So those were both like icon teams. And there was, I remember talking with them a little bit about it, but just because they were both such storied programs, they had, the imagery associated with their team, the history associated with their team, finding a way to come together and mesh into one unit definitely took them a few years to get fully worked out.
Well, it's of great value to the kids, certainly, that able to come together, and we're now starting to get the machines on the field, get them turned on and activated. And we're going to have one last big introduction before we get cranked up here.
Yeah, you saw this 2 weeks ago at Troy. It is one of our customs here, I guess, at first. We announce the teams, bring them onto the field, and then they'll meet at the center of the field for a handshake. See, we can run through some of our other numbers here as we get what our DTE Foundation teams announced. So our Hemlock winners scored 118 points and then scored they scored 129 points and then scored 128 points. They've been very consistent here on this field. Their average score on their division field before they came here was also 120 points. So they've actually played up here. And what's very impressive is the 128 we saw against defense. So they did play against that active alliance, that number 4 alliance, who with that bruising defense from 76-60. So I don't know if you can slow this alliance down.
Strategy-wise, what do these teams want to do?
Yep, so Hemlock with the highest scores, they're just going to go out and do the same thing over again. So far, nothing has been able to slow them down. They have high scores in their division. Now, DTE has been all over the place here. I mean, they had a 61-point match in the first match where a robot turned off and another robot was jamming, came back, put a 119 up, but there were still some issues for 4362, the Gems robot. And then in the last match, they put up only 96, but that was against the heavy defense of 7660. They weren't able to handle that as well as our Hemlock Alliance, but doesn't matter, right? There is probably not going to be any defense played in this final match. So the thing that our DTE Alliance can rely on is that their average score in the divisional playoffs before they got here to Fimstein was 123, which was the highest average score. They put up a 138 as their maximum score. That's big enough to compete. They have a 138 and a 125 and a 131. So they're capable of putting up scores that can match the Hemlock Alliance, but they've got to get everything back fully functional, and they've got to hit on all cylinders here.
And you have to make a philosophical commitment as well, because if you're a primarily offensive-oriented team and you think, hey, we may have to ramp up some defense here, that's not as easy as just flipping a switch.
Right. Yeah, and that's why I think the good news for DTE is that our Hemlock division, our Hemlock Alliance here in blue, does not play defense. They're going to go all on offense. They're going to run the score up. DTE seems like they have thrived the most in those matchups. They've struggled against the defense, which is interesting. Hemlock Semiconductor, that alliance should be watching. If they do get outscored straight up, switching to defense may be very effective.
All right, it's best of 3 time here at Saginaw Valley State. The first one to win 2 matches will claim the state championship in Michigan First Robotics for 2024.
Just making sure everybody is absolutely ready, and they are.
We start with Autonomous. And a miss right there by Team Rush from Clarkston.
Missed pickup by 6081, but they were able to push it away from 27. And 4362 again, getting the extra rings, but 3 on the ground on the blue side means Red actually has a small lead.
Both teams with 30-plus points in Autonomous as we move to Telia.
Oh, great job there.
Yeah, good jam.
Defending those notes on the ground. So those missed shots are still valuable because they're close to your speaker. You can score them whenever you want. 27 tried to steal some of them, and I think it was 66-15 met them on the spot and shut them down. So amplification period here for blue. They got, I think, all 4 notes, which is the maximum you can do in an amplification period.
So we are neck and neck inside of 2 minutes as we see the 6081 digital dislocators robot working effectively for the Blue Alliance.
6081 dropping an extra note off there. An interesting choice. I think that feed was in order to enable the Gems 4362 to get the amp going. And there is another amplification period for blue. Red just finished there, so if blue can get another shot off before this timer runs out, we're going to be basically tied again.
For the digital dislocators machine, really moving well back and forth across the playing field. And now 57-12, Hemlock's Gray Matter putting some defensive pressure on that machine. We're going to be over 100 for both of these teams, Dan.
Yeah, for sure. And you can see when you cross the middle, look at who's comfortable taking contact and who's not. And if you can find somebody who's not comfortable taking contact, hit them every chance you get.
Go to town, baby.
It's like amplification ready for both sides. Red uses it first, blue uses it immediately after.
Team Rush very nimble and efficient. Looking to grab a note there.
66-15 needs this during the amp period. The lights turned off, but did it score in time? It did not. Only 2-point value for that one.
Oh, we are down to the wire as these teams go to the stage. And 2 hangs for the Red Alliance. Can they get 3? Blue Alliance working to get their hangs. Oh my goodness.
3 hangs on both sides. Red does have the trap points. And they both have, I think, the human player bonus, the spotlight bonus for the human player throwing it on. So, blue ahead on the scoreboard, red ahead in endgame. It's going to be very close. Woo.
Both of these teams well over 100 points, and neither team is confident that this is in the bag right now.
I think Red's last second trap gives them the edge here, but literally anything can change the outcome. We're looking at just a couple points difference.
And there were no obvious penalty points either. Or were there?
No, I didn't see any obvious penalties. I think it's going to be a clean match, no penalties. So really, it's just making sure that everything was scored correctly. Look at that end game again. We have 3 robots hanging for blue, 3 robots hanging for red. That's a wash, 9 points apiece. The one thing that was Hemlock scored in the trap at the very end, 57-12, scored in the trap. That's 5 points.
Well, we have a Red Alliance win. And the folks here are ecstatic. And on the flip side, Dan, the Blue Alliance, we're not too worried, because we got the final point tally, 135 to 130.
Yep.
Blue Alliance is like, you know what? The margin of error is like nil.
Yep. And that score makes sense with the scoreboard that we were shown and the clean match. I missed one thing, and that is that the red robots also got the harmony bonus when you hang together on the same chain. So end game, Hemlock got 5 extra points for the track, 2 extra points for the harmony bonus. That's 7 extra points. They were down by a few, but they overcame it with those bonus endgame points.
Oh, wow. That was a match to behold as we head downstairs to Kaylee.
Anna is here with me again from the Red Alliance. Congratulations on that win. Very, very tight. I don't think anybody really felt confident. I have to ask you, when we talked before, you guys had gotten 17 penalties. You said that was part of our strategy. That obviously changed this game.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very situational. I mean, every match is, I think, obviously we are a 3 offense alliance, and I don't know, I can't really credit it too much. We did go outside. We had a very large break. We actually took our whole entire alliance outside, and we all did a giant stretching circle to de-stress and kind of get our mind back in the game. So that was kind of fun. But match-wise, I don't know, we played our hardest, and it came out on top.
What are you going to take from this going into the next match?
I think just the same strategy. Just stay positive, see if we can try and keep the momentum going. I think the momentum that we have is keeping it is very important.
Okay, well, congratulations on that one.
Thank you.
Dan and Dan, we're going to send it back to you guys.
All right, let's key on that, Dan. They took advantage of the awesome weather here at Saginaw and went outside for the stretching zone.
It can be helpful. Honestly, most important thing of that statement is that we have nice weather here this year.
Yeah.
We had an ice storm before, made it impossible to go home afterwards.
So, again, a smart decision, and here's the score. Wow.
And, yep, so that's it. The 7 extra points that they got in the stage in endgame changed it from a 120 to 118 blue advantage, DTE advantage, to the 135 to 130 Hemlock Semiconductor win. Another thing to point out with this match, completely clean, not a single penalty point. We haven't had too many of those. One of the things that we look for strategy-wise for alliances is not just what their high score is, but what their highest unpenalized score is. Or take the penalties out, what did they earn on their own? This is a new unpenalized high score for this Hemlock Semiconductor Division Alliance. So their previous was 130. They ratcheted it up 5 more points here, and this is their best score of the tournament so far.
And, Hemlock coming in as the Hemlock Semiconductor, what a great showing. This has just been a huge impact they've made, both with the team they've put together, the corporate sponsorship element that they've introduced. This has been win, win, win all weekend for them.
Absolutely. I will say, though, for DTE Foundation, they still are in this. Their highest unpenalized score is a 133. So we're looking at 2 points different on highest unpenalized scores. We're looking at, I think, 1 point difference on, 2 points different on highest score with penalties. So these alliances, there's almost nothing between them.
Sometimes that loss can be very deflating depending on how you lose. That was not deflating.
Right. And it's close enough, too, that I don't think we're going to see any major strategic shifts here. You know, if you get blown out, if you lose by 20 here, then maybe you got to go back and say, hey, can we play? Can we play differently? But in this case, I mean, you know what? It was one shot. It was one amplified shot was the difference, or one auto mode shot was the difference.
Let's get into some replays here. And hard to find fault with anything that either team did. Yeah, this is just, I mean, don't you think, Dan, both teams did exactly what they wanted to do?
Yep. And it's
which is rare.
It is rare. No robot issues, no damage, no field damage. I mean, this was a great match to watch. And it's just it's just shaving that last little bit, right? It's the nuances. It's making a little bit at the edges here. You know,
and isn't the strategy, Dan? We're going to let you do whatever you want to do because we feel confident that what we can do is win.
Yeah, exactly. And we see that. I mean, their top scores are so close together. 135 versus 133 for unpenalized. 140 and 138 are their top scores with penalties. I mean, it's like, you know, any given match, either alliance can come up a little bit bigger. And I do have to bring up, too, for DTE, we talked about their robot performance side. Sponsorship-wise, DTE Foundation also sponsors 4362, the gems. So kind of our title-sponsored robots, Hemlock's 5712, Hemlock's Gray Matter, and the CSPA gems, 4362, both of the, I guess, kind of main teams for those sponsors right here in the final match.
Lots of synergy all the way around. And again, we're celebrating a handful of teams today, the ones that got here, but you know, we've talked in the last few weeks about the continued growth and expansion of robotics in Michigan, both team-wise, corporate sponsors getting involved. It just continues to escalate, and look at that.
Yeah.
Just like I called it up.
Right. It was like it was planned or something.
I know.
I mean, this is the most important thing, right? It's great that we have these very, very well-run teams, these excellent teams, high-performing teams here that we get to watch. But this is a good experience for students at all levels. If you make it to your 2 district events, if you put a robot together and you get this experience, it's still going to be extremely beneficial for you moving forward. And that's why this is a great slide. 516 teams in Michigan, the most of any state or any district. We actually have more teams than football teams, than Division I football, or than 11-player football teams.
And we're very pro-football. We're not shaming football in any way.
No, I'm a big sports fan as well, so don't get me wrong.
No, and we don't want to get confronted by some football guys as we head out of here. Let's take a break here at Saginaw Valley State as we continue with First in Michigan Robotics from Saginaw Valley State.
Last year, these unassuming gray cylinders, called ATRs, prevented 69,000 outages for Consumers Energy customers. Here's how. This is a model of an electric system, similar to the one that provides energy to your home or business. At each end is a substation that feeds power to the lines you see running through your community. In the past, these 2 systems met in the middle, but were kept separate so they didn't do this. The problem is, when a storm blew in and knocked a tree onto the lines here, it would take out this entire system until crews could repair it. This is where ATRs change the game. They act like traffic lights for electricity. They know if the light should be green to let electricity pass or red to stop. Right now, these ATRs know they should be green to allow power to pass. Where the power lines meet in the middle, the ATRs are red to keep the 2 systems from meeting, just like before. Here's the difference. Now, when a storm knocks a tree onto the lines, these ATRs sense there's trouble and put up a red light to stop the electricity and make the system safe. When the ATRs in the middle sense power is lost on this side, they'll turn green, automatically restoring power to these customers until it reaches the stoplight put up by these ATRs, limiting the outage to the smallest area possible until crews can clear the tree and the system goes back to normal. ATRs are part of a high-tech electric grid that's making power more reliable for Consumers Energy customers. And with more being installed every year, they're just one more way you can count on us.
We are continuing with our championship Saturday coverage here from Saginaw Valley State University, and yeah, we're potentially this next match could be the end of Michigan Robotics for this season. Earlier today, Kaylee Marentet had a chance to sit down with Aiden Forbes from Magna. He is both a judge and a Volunteers Experience sponsor.
I have Aiden Forbes with me from Magna. Thanks for joining us, Aiden.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So you kind of wear a few different hats here. You are a judge with First. You're also with Magna. But I want to start with Magna and what you guys do. So what's your role with Magna?
So I'm an Industry 4.0 solutions analyst. So what I do is I connect like the factory floor, offline factory, like robots and stuff like that, to the business decision makers, and like with reports and KPIs and stuff like that.
Good stuff. So Magna is a sponsor. Talk about how important that is, or how cool it is to have Magna as a sponsor for First.
Yeah, so Magna is a huge influence in how a lot of interviews go in First, or in Magna.
Yeah.
Sorry. We have one of our directors of our HR board quoted that years in First are similar to years of work experience in the actual job field.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So how long have you been involved with First?
I have been involved for about 10 years now.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think are some of the skills, or what has First brought you through all these years?
An amazing work ethic, I would say. The drive to just get the job done, no matter how much time it takes or how much effort. And amazing troubleshooting and communication and teamwork skills that have just helped me everywhere in my career so far.
Oh, absolutely. So you're also a judge. Talk about your role as a judge. I guess, what is that like for you?
Yeah, so I'm a match observer, so I have to basically watch the team's autonomouses during the matches to decide which team's going to get the autonomous award for the competition.
What made you want to get involved in that?
Our work was asking for volunteers for judges.
They're like, hey, we're going to volunteer you that you have to do this. But how long have you been a judge for?
This is my first year being a judge.
It's your first year? Okay, well, what have you thought so far?
I've thought it's been awesome. I've gotten to sit line side, see some pretty awesome, amazing robots. It's pretty cool.
So obviously going through First and being involved for so long, what would you tell students who are maybe hesitant about getting involved?
I would say just do it. Just do it, because it is the most rewarding, beneficial decision that I've ever made. Walking into the robotics room in 6th grade, never questioned it since.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here, and thanks for being a sponsor with Magna and being a judge, and good luck with your, hopefully we see you back here next year as a judge.
Thank you.
Dan and Dan.
All right, Kaylee, thank you. Yeah, volunteers, really the unsung life force of keeping all these events moving, rolling, happening. And here's some numbers that back that up with, again, look at that. Just hundreds, thousands of people who just...
And this is just to support the events. We talked about 26 district events for the high school competition, but you can see there's the middle school, and there are 2 different elementary school competitions, one for upper, one for lower. And it's all mainly volunteer driven, and so it's kind of a testament to the program how we've gotten so many people to volunteer, and they just stick around because they see the value in it and they have fun doing it.
Yeah, once you're hooked, it's hard to kind of extricate yourself.
And those numbers don't even include the people that just volunteer to help teams.
Yeah.
So even more than whatever those numbers said.
So the awards table is going to be empty maybe after this match, but we could have 2 more matches if things go. But yeah, that is a great memento to have of your weekend here, your year-long robotics experience for that for this year.
Yep. I mean, there is the World Championship, which will be taking place in 2 weeks in Houston, bringing kind of the best from every region together. But this is a big deal, right? Winning the Michigan State Championship is in some ways more difficult than winning the World Championship. In other ways, not. The depth here is kind of like unmatched. So when you get to the World Championship, we're going to get the top teams from other regions joining us there. So at the very top end, you might have some better teams, but the bottom team in the division here is as good as the bottom team or better than the bottom team at Worlds, because a lot of the ways that you can qualify for the World Championship are not as performance-based. And because we're able to have everybody here play 2 district events and earn those points to earn their way here, we know that every robot that came here this weekend is a very good, very capable robot.
So one last burst of energy. Trying to get the crowd all revved up. So we're going to have a reintroduction.
It looks like we do have all 6 robots on the field. Not all connected yet, but they're out there getting set up, getting lined up.
And I guess not that any teams are concerned or have any anxiety or fear, but again, we talked about, hey, look, one of these, even 1 or 2 small mistakes can be enough to flip the end result, and that is very true based on what we just saw play out in the last match.
Yep. So one of the things that you need to be careful of is you're only as fast as you are. If you try to go faster than you can go, things can fall apart quickly. So our DTE Alliance, DTE Foundation Alliance here in blue, we're short that 5 points. If they push too hard, though, to try to shoot an extra couple of rings, things could fall apart. That said, a lot of experienced robots on that side of the field. I think they're going to be able to deal with the pressure.
It's almost where you have to show the discipline to say, hey, we don't have to do anything more. We just have to play really good again.
Yep.
And kind of see where the chips fall.
Yeah, and even if they match their score, it would be good enough to beat a lot of the Hemlock scores.
Off we go into autonomous.
Okay, good start. So far, no, missed pickup by 43-62. That's going to hurt them. Second missed pickup.
57-12 grabs that node, and we are out of autonomous with a big splash score for the Red Alliance.
You got to keep an eye on 43-62. It looked like, I don't know if they were off center or their intake wasn't working. They just picked that node up from the corner, no problem. So maybe they just mishit. Good thing it's not the robot, but that's a pretty big deficit that they're going to have to play out of.
That CSPA gems. And a miss on that shot.
The 51 missed when it was amplified.
Fire, right.
So that's a big miss. That's a 5-point miss right there.
Yeah. And that's going to give DTE Energy, the Blue Alliance, a little bit more room to jump back into this as we see.
Oh, gems problem. Problem with the gems. Are they going to be able to clear that and score? Looks like they were able to spit that one out, but it slowed them down a lot trying to get that amp ready. All right, blue is amplified. Red is still waiting. Okay, red now can amplify. They have it available.
And it's time for the Blue Alliance to make a push here.
Yep, just not a good enough amplified period there for blue. They, I think, only got 2 shots in. You need to be getting 3 or 4.
Only 1 minute left, and there is work to do for the Blue Alliance as the Red Alliance padding their lead.
Blue again amplifies. We'll see if they can do better here. They have 1, and that's 2. They need to get at least this next set of shots off here, so gems are coming up. If they can get both of those through, that's big.
And they did.
Yep, that's a 4-note amplification period. Closed the gap a bit.
Still.
Red now amplified, trying to answer back. Missed shot by Hemlock, 57-12.
They're going to go to the stage zones in about 10 seconds.
Yep, looks like nobody is playing to the amp anymore. I don't know if DTE can come back without another amplified period, though. They're going to bank it on catching up in the end game here.
Wings of Fire already
tech penalty on red.
Already hanging on stage left. 2 red machines hanging. Everybody's in the air.
I don't think they got the
Red Alliance machine that's on the other side is blocked from our line of sight. That's on stage left.
I don't think Hemlock got the trap this time. Oh, no, wait, from this shot, maybe it is in there. I think that's a note, in which case that's going to be 5 points. I don't know if they got the hang afterwards, but if they got that trap in, that's 5 points. They got the 2 robots hanging together for the Harmony bonus. Blue had 3 hanging, 2 together. But I think Red won the end game, and Red was up pretty big on the scoreboard.
Yeah, if Red does win the end game, that's going to be pretty much a no doubt about it win.
Now we do have 3 of the referees together. I saw a late flag, and then if they cross their arms and make an X, that means it was a tech foul. So that's at least 5 points. That would have been added late. I think that was on Hemlock, which would have given more points to DTE. I don't know if 1 tech foul was enough, though, to turn the score around.
Well, we didn't really get a big change in strategy or points, but they're tabulating the points.
Looks like no trap for Red. That was a shadow or reflection that I was seeing there. So that's 5 points less. The end game now is basically a wash.
And the announcement coming in here to the arena, it is a Red Alliance win. They have won 2 matches, and they are your champions here at Saginaw Valley State.
Just a monster score, 138. I mean, they basically just ramped it up every match. Hemlock found a few more points. And DTE, I mean, like, they did 130 and then a 128 in the finals. That's winning you a lot of events, but unfortunately not this one.
Wow, great showing by the Blue Alliance. They have nothing to be ashamed of at all. Their robots crushed it. Just didn't crush the other guys enough.
Yeah, played very well. Again, I mean, like, it's 10 points here. That's 2 amplified shots. I think if one of their amplified periods was not used to perfection. I think they only got 2 scored during that amplification period. If they could have gotten 4 during that period instead, all of a sudden, we've got a tie match here. But man, big scores.
Wow.
And again, no robots malfunctioning in that match. Everybody worked the whole time. Everybody stayed on and running the whole time.
And again, both teams were high level. You know, we want competition to be fair and equal.
Yep.
All right, let's head downstairs. We have Kaylee Marentet talking with participants from both alliances.
Yes, hey guys, we have Bodie here from the Blue Alliance, Anna here from the Red Alliance. Bodie, I want to start with you. Obviously, you guys were fought the whole time, so close. What do you have to say to the rest of your team?
These were some great matches between the Red and Blue Alliance here, between the DTE Energy Foundation field and the Hemlock field. We were both running super hard, great matches. We were running at max capacity there. I mean, those were fair and square, won fair and square, played fair and square, and we're super proud to be finalists here, and we just want to congratulate the Hemlock field for the scores that they're putting up. That's incredible. So
you guys put up a heck of a fight. I just want to congratulate you on coming this far, and it's been a great watch.
Spirits are very high still.
Oh yes, an amazing game to watch. Anna, obviously congratulations. Good news for you guys. What went right through the day? I mean, obviously we talked at the very beginning of you guys making it here. What do you have to reflect on from the entire day?
Honestly, I think it's just the momentum, that and just like the flawless combination of the pit crews, the scouting teams, the drive teams, everybody even behind the scenes, just all working together to get every single alliance to compete at their like max capacity, both the blue and the red. So I think it's everybody.
I will say you guys came out hot with your foot on the pedal from the very jump. You were scoring high, the 128, 129 scores. What's it like seeing that high 130s up there?
It feels really nice, I will admit. But I don't know. I think it's just a testament. Like we've been fighting to prove ourselves, and finally we have something to like. I mean, obviously we are proud of everything that we feel capable of, but it's just one final bang to end it all.
How are you guys going to celebrate?
Lots of hugs and lots of cheers.
Well, congratulations to both of you guys. A great match to watch here. Dan and Dan, I'm going to send it back up to you guys for now.
Kaylee, great. Thank you. Great sportsmanship on display. Very happy with that. Let's get into the numbers, Dan, as the, Blue Alliance, 128, not enough.
So, I mean, a couple things we'll call out here. Red making some mistakes, giving away 10 penalty points. That's 2 tech fouls. We called at least one of those out there at the end. Stage was pretty much a wash. 11 in the amp for 6 means that Hemlock had 2 extra amplified periods. One of them was at the very end of the match. They basically didn't get much from it, but an earlier one was very useful. So a 10-point win. Again, we talked about 2 amplified shots, but also remember in auto mode, 43-62, just a little bit off on those 2 pickups. If they grab those 2 notes and score them, that's also 10 points. Could not be closer.
Let's get into our replay here. This is where it was kind of won and lost for the Red Alliance. That's a miss, a rare miss.
Yep, and that was missed. They had a chance at that shot going in to be amplified, so it was a big miss, but going back and missing again is a pretty big issue there.
And there's some problems there on the blue side.
Yep, so that was a missed amp score, which is a big problem. And then this one, like, it didn't grab quite the way they wanted it to grab. So they're manipulating it. They get it in eventually, but it took some time. And then they missed that one as well. And because they missed those 2, 27, you saw came through the screen there, poached the 1 ring that was sitting on the ground. So that also, we see about 10 points of a swing there. So many little things here, just not quite going for DTE's favor.
Let's get downstairs and reconnect one last time with Kaylee.
Dan and Dan, like I said at the beginning of the show, this weekend truly never disappoints, from the camaraderie to the competitiveness to the teamwork here. I mean, you saw everybody in this conga line high-fiving each other. Everyone is truly friends and family here. I will say that last match was truly incredible. I don't think any team should be walking away with their head down this weekend. A lot of great team effort, and like we've been saying throughout the show, some of the teams here that maybe scored low are still amazing teams and would do great at Worlds. So overall, a great weekend and great season. Happy to be here, and I'll see you guys next year.
Kaylee, we'll book it. Thank you. That's great. We enjoy all of what we do here. And Dan, again, let's put a cap on some on this weekend from you.
Yeah, I mean, 160 great robots, down to 8 alliances per field, so 32 alliances, down to the final 4 alliances here. And the final matches were great. I mean, high scoring, no major penalties, no major robot breakdowns. We just saw point for point from our Hemlock and DTE alliances.
Yeah. In a few weeks, everybody will convene in Houston and have the World Championships, and then the robotics community will kind of go back to the drawing boards and start recreating and getting everything set for 2025. But we've had a great experience here at Saginaw Valley State. Our first-rate production crew did a great job this weekend, thanks to Kaylee Marentet and my partner Dan Kimura. The celebration begins for the Red Alliance. Schools from Clarkston, Hemlock, and Pontiac, all celebrating their win today here at SVSU. I'm Dan Gutowski as we say so long from Saginaw Valley State University, and thanks to our great corporate sponsors, your state champions, Hemlock, Clarkston, and Pontiac.